Just waiting a few numbers coming through here for the Thursday morning start here. We're looking at initial jobless claims first out of the gate, 220,000 on the week-over-week number. We were expecting 230,000, so a little bit to the downside. This is a quarterly GDP number just coming through as well, 3.1% for Q3 versus 2.8% that was expected. It's worth noting earlier this morning we did get a quote-unquote dovish hold on interest rates from the Bank of England coming off what happened in the U.S. yesterday with Fed Chair Powell and a quarter-point cut. That was definitely nothing but not dovish. It was the exact opposite. We'll get to that in a second. A couple other things of note here. GDP sales quarter over quarter, just hearing in my ear, 3.3%. That's much higher than expected. 3% was the expectation. PCE prices, again, a quarterly number, 1.5%. Versus 1.5% expectation there as well. There's some home sales data coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. But man, oh man, lots to discuss this morning after what a mess yesterday was. That's the market. Guess when Powell started talking? 5:35 on the Qs. It was 5:15 when all was said and done. Man, wow. What a move to the downside for not only the NASDAQ, but the S&P as well. I mean, we're trying to bounce here. It's 0.9% right now back to the upside, but I think a lot to digest. I think a few things have changed.
Yeah, there have been, Brendo. I mean, we're looking at inflation being stickier going into the new year. It's a result of the new administration coming in and the policies that they're bringing. We had lots happen, so let's talk about it. We're likely, according to the dot plot, only going to get 2 rate cuts into 2025 rather than the 4. Yeah. So that was obviously a little bit hawkish. Further adjustments as well are going to be data dependent. That we already knew. But both the Dow and the S&P having their worst day, Brendo, since August 2023. Yeah. They got really hit on the head, and the 10-year Treasury up above 4.5 again.
Yeah, and it was the worst Fed day specifically going back more than 10 years as well. So yeah, just a ton of selling. I mean, the market's up so much, individual stocks up so much. People almost looking for a reason to sell at this point on heavy volume into the close as well. So a lot to get through this morning. I'm just looking at a scanner of what's up and what's down right now. And there's actually a lot to the upside, which is good to see coming off what happened yesterday. But a lot to digest from the higher state of things right now. We'll touch on a few earnings that came through. There's a few little ones that reported earnings, but just out of the gate here, Palantir, Tesla, NVIDIA, all up more than 2% right now. NIO, some of the Chinese names getting quite a bounce as well across the board. Banks are all higher to the tune of about 1.5% right now. The Dow as well, coming off that huge losing streak, up, better part of 1.2%. It's very rare that you see DIA, the diamonds, if anyone's wondering, the ETF for the Dow.
I haven't been following that one, Brendo. But yeah, lots to talk about. We had Bitcoin holding 100,000 for generally. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Google in focus again. Waymo expanding, keeps expanding. Yeah. Good look for them. Palantir with yet another government contract, this time with the Army and Darden. Really, really impressive report, up 9%.
Yeah, that was one of the positive earnings coming through this morning. We were discussing before we came on here at 8:30 the acronym. For anyone that's been to Toronto, our transit here is terrible. The acronym is TTC, Toronto Transit Commission.
Yeah.
It's very much the worst transit system on the planet. So we came up with a few ideas for a new name.
Yeah, maybe we should put in a poll, Brendo, see what the chat has to say. Maybe they can come up with something more creative.
If anyone's experienced the, I mean, one of them, Neil, you had to Take the Car. I think that one was pretty good for TTC.
Be the winner. Take the Car makes the most logical sense. And if you hadn't noticed, this is not Sean or Obi. Obi was stuck on the TTC, so he's on his way in an Uber. But realistically, I was going to open with something more along the lines of, Randy, that, hey, the market fell so much that Sean lost all of his hair and now wears glasses and looks weirdly like Randy. No, Randy's just going to have some fun sitting in here for the first couple of minutes before Obi gets in. Man, it was wild. It was wild price action last night. And we talk about this every single time. You never know what you're going to get with the Fed. And at 2:30, it's like it doesn't matter at 2 o'clock. 2:30, when Powell hits the podium, is generally speaking when you'll see the bigger move. Yeah, that move is a little bit bigger than expected, everybody. So I don't think anybody saw that move down coming, but what it does give us today is ample opportunity because you've got massive levels that got made on some bottoms. I think you have to have a different look at some of the smaller cap tech names. The problem with the IWM and the Russell is now that we know we're not likely to have, we're not getting 4 cuts next year, it's 2, and by the way, it could be 0 or it could be 1. It could be even worse than that. You got to start thinking a little bit differently. I was looking at the move down in IWM. I looked at what happened to Rivian, and it was
Tesla.
some of the capital-intensive names. Those are the ones that, when borrowing costs are maybe not, we're out of the cycle, we're in a pause cycle. Some of those stocks are the ones that are going to concern me in the short term, so I care how they rebound today. Tesla bounced like $30 from the lows, but I'm a little more concerned with names like Rivian and pretty much all of those. The solar names I'd be a little worried about too.
Companies that are in debt, that are not carrying as much cash, operating costs continue to climb. So yeah, you've got to keep that in play. It's an important factor. Rivian, there's been grants and government money issued Volkswagen, but there's still debt there, and you've got to be cognizant of that. Yeah, still got to pay the bills.
Everyone's got to pay the bills, and the other thing, it was in everything move to the downside. Like I don't want to when we were doing the aftermarket show, like we're talking about, it wasn't just financials, it wasn't just tech, it wasn't just IWM. Like the XLE took it on the chin. Like you had energy got smoked. And a lot of things are bouncing, but things that were trending up pull down, and things that were going sideways pull down, and things that were trending down continue to go down. Like the only thing that was strong was volatility, more or less. And this is one, like looking at the XLE, this is another thing which is kind of getting into important support. So like we said, there's going to be a lot to watch. I mean, on my note today, like the obvious candidates for where you'll find trading opportunity with Tesla's move, it stands out like a sore thumb. Like it gapped $30 from the lows already and is retesting $450. Micron earnings got smoked. Their guidance was terrible, and so they took it on the chin big time. There's no questions asked. Well, eyeballs will be on that. Certainly Bitcoin, which could test 100,000 again after bouncing there yesterday. Mara is going to be on watch for me. There's just a heck of a lot. And I know there's some small cap names to watch out there as well that are moving. You got BBAI, Raul in the chat just saying BBAI is also moving around. So you ought to make sure you stay in your lane. Like find the stocks that you like to trade today. There's going to be an overwhelming number of symbols that'll probably do good volume or have good ranges. So you want to make sure that you're involved in the right ones. Heck, look at BBAI. When in doubt, just find a small cap that decides it wants to go parabolic. But a lot of these, I hate the term Christmas tree. I know people like to call this
Christmas season. Come on.
Christmas tree pattern in a chart. I still say it makes no sense because nobody decorates like one half of their tree all red and then it's like all green on the other side. It doesn't even make any sense. It's like a reverse V shape. But there's a lot of these yesterday. At least this stock's trying to break out. Good luck, BBAI. To the desk?
To the desk? I guess so.
Maybe. Not possible.
All right, we're just getting set up here for Luis Barredo going to come through from Barcelona, the real trading office over in Barcelona. In a second, we'll talk about what a week it's been, what a couple of weeks it's been for small caps again today. You were just saying, there's already 5 I see triple-digit gainers right now here in the pre-market. So, I mean, yesterday was wild for a couple of individual names.
Nuke was flying 2 days. I think there was another Q. I forget the name of them. There's good continuation. Obviously, Luis is going to talk about it right now. But my personal experience has been the continuation problem with these small cap gappers. They have a good pre-market. They may have a good open, and then they're fading by 11, 12 o'clock. They're below the volume weighted average price. That is not happening. The strength is continuing. They're holding levels. And so this is the time to trade them if you're into it. So we'll keep an eye on the ones today, Brenda.
Yeah, a few of those, I think. QMCO, I think, was one of those.
Yes.
Back downside again today. So there's both directions, action both directions, depending on what you're looking for. But whenever you're ready, Ramin, let's bring in Luis over in Barcelona, Spain. I see the sun coming through the window, Luis. Is it? Give me a weather report.
Don't feel sad. Don't feel sad. Yeah, sun is coming from the window.
Like, look, we haven't seen the sun in, it feels like months here. So, I mean, I'm just living vicariously at this point.
Well, I haven't seen the snow for 5 years.
Great timing, as we were saying, to get you on and talk a little bit about this crazy action we've been seeing in small cap world once again going into the end of the year. Definitely back with full force here, and I want to start just on the bigger perspective in that if someone's looking at a BPTH this morning, PRFX, just to name a couple that are up huge, and saying, but what about the Fed? What about the overall market? The market's was down huge yesterday on the Fed. These kind of stocks don't care about that.
They really don't care about that. You're totally right. There are a lot of things to talk about today. We will need a lot of time because the small cap world, you say, is crazy. We have been seeing runners and runners every day. 100% is nothing, 200% is nothing, 700%, 3,000% in UKK. So it's quite crazy. I'm going to share you some stats just to see so you have a glimpse of the overall market, how it's working this small cap. It's about cycles. We talk about this many times. It's about cycles. And we are now in a runner cycle. Everything that is going up, if it fits with some characteristics like country not from the US or a small float or rotation float pre-market or some strong catalyst, it's not going up 30 or 50%. It's going up like 500% no matter what. If it's related to quantum or drones or something like that, even more. I'm going to show you some stats here on our intranet that we use a lot this data analysis. And you can see here, if we click gappers from $0.2 to $50 with some relative volume and so on, some characteristics. Look at this. This is a weekly. So this is 1 week. Next week, you can see some gapping up and, well, sometimes going a little bit up or bleeding down, fading. Look at this last week. It's going up from the opening, just crazy going up. So that gives you a clue how the market is reacting. And if we see monthly, these stats is amazing because look, from the opening, this month is just fading from the opening, fading. We have a strong pre-market and then fading market. Strong pre-market, fading. Like that is, like there are a lot of traders who look for this kind of strategies, go long pre-market, and when the market opens and the volume start fading, they follow the price down. Look at this month. It's pre-market up, market keeps going up. Sometimes it just keep going and going and going. And as you said before, no matter the VWAP, no matter the volume, it's never fading. So we are in a runner cycle, absolutely. So be aware if you go front side against a very strong movement, it's never, it's better to be late than too early.
From your experience, is this just a seasonality effect, or is it a lack of liquidity, or have you seen this in the past? I guess A, and B, what would you point to as a reason as to why this is happening?
I think it's difficult to say, but I think a lot of factors can involve in this kind of market. First of all, some sectors that are really hot, like drones or quantum. If we have this very strong with a lot of momentum sectors, you mix up with a lot of foreign companies. If you check today, let me show you here today, we have already like 200%, 200%, 200%, 150%. All of these stocks gapping up, most of them are not from the USA. Look, Israel, Singapore, China, Australia, so United Kingdom. So, there is a lot of factors. And I think also there is a very strange factor that is pushing this kind of market, that we have a huge, I'm not going to say the name, a huge worldwide broker offering free long trades. So if you buy, you don't pay. Even if you feel or kill, even if you remove liquidity from the market, you don't pay if you go long. So we have a lot of traders, a lot of bots, high frequency trading, pushing the market long. And if it goes, they just keep pushing. If it doesn't go, they just go out without any commission. So, there is a lot of things going on inside this kind of movement.
Good to know. Let's touch on a few of these individual names that are moving around here this morning, get a plan together. BPTH, jumping off the screen here, The highest right now on my list, anyways, 242% here already in the pre-market, and about to take out the highs once again here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, probably from the top runners of the day is the most, let's say, easier stock to trade is a USA company. So it's not going to be probably so crazy as China or Israel or something like that. And it has some criminal record, I used to call it, that gap up and bleeding during the day. We could check the statistics, and probably we have a high percentage of bleeding from this stock, right? You go here, PPTH, and I guess we have look at this 8 gap up, 100% of probability of closing red. So as you can see, it's probably not the most difficult stock to short today. It will be more difficult on the other ones, like you said before, China and the Singapore companies. So this one, we will look for short, not anticipating the movement because the market is very strong. But once we see the volume dropping and probably VWAP involved or something like that, we will look for shorts in this one.
Yeah, okay, so you touched on it there a little bit, but let's get into that a little bit more. What exactly do you want to see to say, okay, this is done for the day possibly, and now we look to fade?
Well, first of all, since we keep pushing through highs after consolidation. Now we have seen a pullback to 220 and it goes to highs. It's very strong momentum. So we are seeing, you have here in hours, you can see all the pullback and pushing. So we are going to wait until the backside is built, okay, until we have lower highs, probably VWAP getting closer. Right now it's very far because, it's pre-market and it's now 1.7. But if we see some failing of highs, and of course, I think we have some resistance, some over, look at these 330s, 320s. So over that point where we have huge resistance and a high here and dropping during the day, we will go short around that area.
All right, let's go on to PRFX, one that might be in the process of breaking to the downside currently here.
Yeah, this is a stock that we shouldn't short front side. You have you see a lower probability of closing red, only 66%. It is an Israeli company, so be aware. This is getting very, very wild. All the Israeli companies are going up like 200, 300, 500%. So be very careful if it keeps pushing higher. Measure very good the size. The sizing is very important on this one, very, very important. It is true that we have seen already some weakness below 7. So let's see if it's consolidate on this one. This one we will look for short if it drops below VWAP and we see some rainbow pattern, like losing VWAP and starting to fade in volume and momentum. But listen, there is a lot of shorts getting stuck on this kind of pattern. If it pops when the market opens above 7, you have to really take care because all the shorts are in trouble. They will have to get out of the position. The float is not very high. A lot of shorts involved. Options probably warrants. So if it pulls above 657, get out if you're short.
A lot of, from a mechanical side, a lot to digest there. I mean, you mentioned the float. Here's another one that has a relatively small float, 2 million, about 1.9 million for Trio Petroleum, which is TPET. Absolutely taking out the highs right now, already pushing 200%.
Yeah, I didn't check this one before. Trio to acquire producing oil, gas, and assets. As you can see here, we use this. We create this our own scanner, let's say, and it gives you everything: the flow, the price, the volume, pre-market, and it gives you the news. And it say Trio to acquire producing oil and gas assets. So it's a big news. Let's see. I haven't checked yet the charts. Let me check. It's a very, very, it is Amex, so it's very important. It's another market. It's another kind of movement, No so much noise up and down. Sometimes it's trending during longer periods of time, so it's going to be a bit tricky. I don't know if we have shorts on this one. I don't know if we can locate this symbol. It's interesting to check right now. it's just going crazy. Don't go short front side here. You're gonna die. It's already 250%. It seems a lot, but we have NUKK 3,000% in a couple of days. So
yeah, I was looking at the I was just looking at the level 2 on TPET. There's no such thing as an offer on this currently. So yeah, tread lightly if you're trying to stand in front of this move for that one. Great stuff, Luis. Anything else catching your eye here so far?
this is our, what you say, it's our main tickers to watch. Also, CURR, which is a Singapore company, 19 million float, a little bit bigger. It haven't been trading so much rotation flow during pre-market. So let's see. The level 2, it's quite thin right now, but I think after the opening, we will start to see some bids and offers to give us a bit better feels without so much risk. So this is another one we are looking into. And of course, all the quantum, Cubito, we call it, which is QUVT, QVTS, QMCO, everything with a Q. It's willing to be traded today, of course.
ARQ, there's another one, ARQQ or ARQT or something like that. Yeah,
anything with Q, whatever sector and company is. If you have a Q in your company, you're safe.
You need a Q list these days.
If you're going listed in NASDAQ, you put a Q somewhere in your ticker, right?
That's all you need, exactly. Great stuff as always. Luis Barbado joining us from sunny Barcelona. Happy holidays if we don't see you again before the break next week. All the best. Thanks for jumping on today.
Thank you very much. Happy Christmas for you too, guys.
Thank you so much, Luis. Obi is in the building. After we were giving acronyms to the TTC, we told everybody the TTC was the problem, and mine was take the car.
Yeah, I basically had to take an Uber here from what is it? I forget, York Mills Station. So because there was an animal on the track apparently. Yeah, that was the announcement, and then basically an animal on the track closed down our southbound TTC into the city for a good 30 minutes, I think. And Wayne just got here as well, and I asked him, I was like, because he gets on at Eglinton, and I'm like, oh, because like that was where the stop was. He's like, he had to wait at the platform for a couple of minutes, but that was around like 8:10.
You're here. Hopefully the animal's
here
okay.
now.
And that's actually what it was. A lot of times they have codes for like, they say this and it's really something else. So you never really, hopefully everything is all good there.
Yeah.
But to go back to something Luis said, this is a great point. That BPTH, where it's like, if you look at the past moves, it's like a repeat refender, and looking at the past history for some of these runners is a good way to suss out which ones you think you would want to trade or would want to go long, would want to go short. For this Nuke stock, I just want to say that when you pull up a level 2 here, there's just not, I have Alibaba for some reason on this level 2. Let's just correct that, whoops, by going to Nuke, which is on the NASDAQ. The spread just tightened up a little bit as I looked at it. But it's a very wide spread. There's not a lot of liquidity. You'll see some orders that'll go through for some size every now and then. But this is a different beast, this NUKK. And I think anybody that was trading it has to understand that you're going to be dealing with a lot of extra volatility when it comes to that nuke. And it's not the same as some of these other low float runners where you can safely trade them at most levels, have an idea where you're going to get out unless the stock halts. But that nuke is going to halt multiple times. They had a private placement that was moving. I also wanted to point out, we didn't quite get, so last night I was sort of saying, hey, maybe watch out for a break of 100 on Bitcoin in the after, overnight, because the last time we had a pullback like this, there was a little bit of a panic sell. It's worth noting that got picked back up at 99. So I think, that's a pretty good sign. When we had that last fail of the 100,000 level, you kind of pull back, you were bouncing off 100,000, and then you had that crazy after close move, and it was early in the evening where you pulled into 92. The fact that we held on to 99, I think actually bodes pretty well for Bitcoin. That said, you're still head and shoulders if we don't break 103. There's we'll get to some crypto names when we go over the watch list, and I'd be at least a little bit concerned about some of the miners, especially like Mara won't budge to the upside where everything's going higher. But for anyone trading that nuke, it looks appealing, and I get that, everybody, but there isn't much of a bid. And that BPTH, 330%. And the second he said it's like 100% of the recent moves have ended up closing red. I actually paid for locates myself because I look over, like if it were to get to $4 or $4.5, $5 in where it's already failed before this year, like, yeah, looking for a mean reversion trade, why not? It's on 60 million shares in volume. Like if you like mean reversion trades and the data supports looking for this one, either you get it failing under VWAP or you can catch a clean mean reversion where your risk to reward is just quickly set up. I'm going to have this one on the radar for sure today. It was super cheap for us to get locates, which is great. And by the way, I see in the chat there, Tisha's like, no, go long, not short. Well, I'm not shorting it here. I think that's crazy. The area I was just talking about is another 50% higher for it to get up there. I just want to have the locates in case it does get there. It's at $2.80. I'm talking about $4 to $4.50, maybe even the $5 level, and then I would start looking for a mean reversion on this thing. I just want to be prepared in case it happens.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to be watching some Nuke on the day today. If not, if I don't take any fills, I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on, something to learn from as well. Last night they had a bit of an offering news, and I think this morning I was reading on Twitter or X that a lot of those, or the shares are restricted shares that were offered. So, oh boy. I'm kind of thinking any and every short that kind of chased into this is probably getting a little rocked as we come right back into these prior levels here from before that catalyst, before the news came out. And we did clip that $80 level, holding 63.88 right now. So definitely going to be one on watch. I'm curious to know, this thing it has been coming in all the way from what is that low right here? The low being in and around $2. $2 just on day one, just under $2 on Tuesday, and yeah, coming into Thursday here, trading at 63 halves, Neil.
It's insane.
And yeah, I'm curious to know how much more shorts got trapped in this thing, because this is definitely not looking like a backside right here, especially when it absorbs. "Quote unquote absorbs" an offering, but that offering not really, I guess, meaning anything too much right now. So we'll keep an eye on this one there. But I know that BPTH is interesting as well. I haven't really looked at that one, but Nuke definitely on watch for me today.
All right, a couple things of note here. Here's the 10-year. After what happened yesterday, we took out that high going back to beginning of November on the Powell move yesterday. We're up again today, back to 4.55, almost 4.56 on the 10-year. So you got to go all the way back to May, the last time we were up this high for yields back to the upside, dollars back to the upside right now after. Again, if you missed it at 8:30, quarterly GDP print comes in stronger than expected. Initial jobless claims downside. So a lot of, from a macro standpoint, a lot of signals pointing to like what is going to slow down this economy at this point?
It's really interesting, Brendo, because I was talking to you, I was talking to Neil off camera, and I don't really see much of a headwind for the United States. I mean, everything we really keep seeing is more strength coming in the new year. Deregulation supposed to take effect once Donald Trump is inaugurated. We have many different industries really with a good tailwind right now. So I was talking about this on the How to Trade Midday show yesterday, and the growth comes as a necessary component of growth. There is going to be some inflation because there's more dollars chasing fewer goods, and that's kind of the issue that we had in COVID, but that was artificial stimulation. Now we actually have organic growth, and it's going to be the same thing.
We'll see coming up at 10 o'clock this morning, housing data and the Conference Board's leading index as well, which could be key if it comes in stronger than expected as well. Let's get some analyst moves. We'll head over to Adara at the screen.
With an upgrade here from Jefferies Financial. Then we have Fortinet being upgraded by KeyBank Capital Management. Deutsche Bank upgrading Hewlett Packard here with a $25 price target. This one's up about 2.5%. And Coinbase being upgraded by Vanessa Crespi and Hart. Keep an eye on Bitcoin, all these Bitcoin names today, as it bounced off of 100,000 yesterday. Then we have C3AI with a downgrade from KeyBank Capital Management. Micron being downgraded by Needham after that weak guidance for Q2 2025. General Dynamics here getting downgraded by RBC Capital Markets. And last but not least, Imperial getting downgraded by JP Morgan Chase, guys.
So like the Micron downgrade, I don't think is going to surprise much of anybody. I mean, you miss on guidance the way that they did, and you're going to slap some. You're going to get some downgrades. What's interesting is the Affirm upgrade, right? Because yesterday we got Apple saying they basically halted their effort to build iPhone hardware subscription service and also shut down pay later offering. And I think a lot of times you look at the price action after something like this, and the firm was already not looking that great. What's interesting about like these guys getting an upgrade, you look at the daily chart or look at this 15-minute chart, and you tell me what's been happening at $72. And it happened at the open there, happened at the open there, couldn't get past at the close, happened at the, like, how many times has this stock gapped up into the low 70s, abject failure? It'll climb back when it gets under, then can't get above 72. Gaps up, fails 72. Gaps up, fails 72. Gaps up, fails 73. This time it trades up, fails 73 again. Gap, hold underneath the 72. Somebody was selling shares every time this would try to break a 52-week high, and that's what it looks like on the daily chart. So interestingly enough, like all of that accumulation happens, it starts to drop a little bit, slap an upgrade on. Like, I'm not saying it's going to make for sure it's going to make another leg down, but this is not a name I would want any business chasing. Like I'm looking at this 50 period on the daily and saying, hey, why not down there for something like an Affirm? And as long as it's underneath the prior support, like that's a $66 level, that's where I'd be leaning to. Like upgrades and downgrades are a fine catalyst, but to me, price action is always going to be king. And you can't show me that reaction yesterday, everything fell. You can't show me all the selling up here in the 72 on the daily chart, and then we break the channel, and you're not supposed to respect the new range. If this gets up to 66, feels like a fade to me. I'm mad at myself for not going with my gut and shorting Marvell last night. And if this gets up into the 66 range, I'll be upset with myself if I don't at least give it a gander to see if it gives me a mean revert. Upgrade be darned, I suppose.
Yeah, I think upgrade or downgrade. I'm watching that Micron as well. One of the top ideas on my list, and yeah, I'm gonna start off again. I'm getting started right now just here, but yeah, I'm gonna start off by throwing on that anchored, and let's see. It got sold off pretty aggressively. Why is this not interesting? I guess this is not really showing up right now, but or maybe I can't see it. Okay, I will fix that. But yeah, no, Micron definitely on watch. Some of these levels from the after hours reaction, 95s down to 85s right here on Micron. So it should be interesting on the day today. But other than that, I know that the market after what happened at the end of the day yesterday, absolutely wild. Some crazy selling that happened there. Where was the bid, Neil? There was no bid.
What bid?
What bid? I definitely took a hit on that, but it was a learning experience for me because I was like, oh boy, this is what it looks like when there is no bid. Any sort of bid that did kind of step up, just getting smashed right through, and we got that continuation here on Micron. So the Micron, I was just like, wow, this is beautiful. We kind of closed aggressively red all the way from 110s down into 103s, and then you get that double whammy of that earnings report pushing you all the way down through the 100 break into 80s. That's absolutely wild there as well. So let's see if we get a little bit of a reversion. The market's already taking a little bit of a turn here, a little bit of a bid in the morning session today. So I'm curious to know what some of these tickers are going to do, but I don't know how strongly this downgrade is going to affect Micron on the day today, but definitely one of the top watches on my part.
Gotta be.
Get into everything we need to know here this morning. Lots to talk about, including a big move in the market yesterday.
Yeah, guys, we are looking now at the March contract. We're no longer on the December contract. This one doing over double the volume already in the pre-market. So March 2021 contract, March 21, 2025 contract. We closed out yesterday, Brando, at 59.40. So, very close to that 59.50 area. We'll say we're above that right now at 77s. We'll use 50 as support. If we continue higher, We're looking at 6,000 now as resistance.
All right, I have free stuff for you. If you haven't done so yet, go down to the description of this video. Top link gets you to that page. All you need is an email address, and then you get the watch list for free every single day. Has all your homework done for you in the pre-market every single day in one neat package. That's the market, first of all, for anyone who, I don't know, like Michael Noss went to the gym yesterday. He said, I saw he said at the end of the day, though, he bought a whole bunch of stuff on a pullback, which is probably very smart. So, yeah, what a move it was downside yesterday. We got even more of a move downside for this one. Micron, after the close, just absolutely flushed on this earnings miss. Forecast was a bit of a mess as well, 11.3% here.
Yeah, that was the issue. That was the only issue here. The guide was really light. EPS for the current quarter beat. They beat on expectations. Revenue, $8.71 billion, met expectations with respect to the street. Now, that Q2 guidance, the main issue here, guys, revenue of $7.9 billion plus or minus $200 million. That's below analyst expectations, about $1 billion lower. Brendo, 8.98 is what the street was looking for. EPS also $1.43 projected plus or minus, well below that 191 expected by analysts. Should be noted, guys, year to date, we're still up 22%, around 22% here on Micron. And the CEO anticipates, according to him, growth in the second half of the fiscal year. We'll have to see if that pans out.
Yeah, nice bounce back. So far this morning, we're up better part of $4 here, guys, in the pre-market.
As I finish the bite of my banana, we're going to get to Micron in a quick second. However, Melissa did send us a super chat about MSTR. So first off, thank you, Melissa. Yes, we can take a look at MSTR and tell you thoughts. Now, obviously, there's a caveat about 100,000 and what's going to happen, what happens with Bitcoin that you got to concern yourself with. And if we lose 100,000, all bets are going to be off. That said, you're still at least holding on to this most recent support. Now, from the high test, you held 339, right? So that's, if you look at where things bounced, a lot of them bounced at pretty much the most opportune level. There you go. It's about $339. I think that's your over-under. I don't like these for chases on these gaps to the upside. I think this is a kind of day where, for longer-term thoughts, okay, are we holding that support that we just made on the bounce? I don't think, like anything I'm buying for the long term, it's like I was already going to buy it regardless at these prices. And that's what matters to me. The other thing you got to keep in mind, as Brendan already mentioned, like look at what's going on. The 10-year's still trending up on a 15-minute. Like, am I buying anything at the highs or like rushing to buy anything at the highs when that's still happening? So I still have a little bit of concern with that. I do think today, if it's able to get through 390, which I think is insane, that would be, okay, now it's just too bullish, we're squeezing. But I think a lot of this would be like a mean reversion zone for me. I prefer Mara today, and we'll get to crypto at the end of the watch list here. But MSTR, I think you want to see if that 339 is still going to hold. You're gapping a little bit far for me to want to chase anything on that regard. As far as Micron goes, it already bounced, and thank you for everyone that was watching the aftermarket show. It's not rocket science. Micron had a double bottom already at 85 bucks with some higher lows at 86. So when we bounced off that level in the aftermarket yesterday, it wasn't like we're pulling a rabbit out of our hat. We're just looking at the chart and zooming out. And now that you've already bounced off that level, what are you going to do? Wait for it to drop $6 and then go for a long? Well, it's closer to prior support than anything else, which is up at 96. So it's a horrible guide. And there's nothing good to like about it. You're going to get some adjustments on it. And if it's going to do a relief rally, I think this one's a fade if it gets above $95 into the 96. So I'm just going to be patient with it. This might be a morning where in the first 5 minutes, maybe nothing sets up, and that's got to be okay. But if this gets back to prior support off that report, I'm looking for a pop and fade here on Micron. It should open up SSR, but at this point, it's already bounced twice, $5-6 off that 86 area. It's just like I don't necessarily want to chase that move. I just feel like waiting for it to let it get to the key price, 95, 96, and then you can deal with it.
I think that's very fair, Neil. I'm definitely, like I said, number one, one of the top names on my list today for sure is Micron, and yeah, I finally got that anchored going here. So this red anchored right here is the anchor to the earnings reaction. And something else, Neil, that I wanted to do is throw up an anchored, not only just on Micron, on a lot of other tickers that I want to be trading at 2 p.m. from yesterday, because that's where that selling kind of came in. You can see that, again, you can call it an event, you can call it whatever you want. There's increased volume, expanding volume into the close, so I definitely want to know what the average participant from that time, or where that average price is sitting at right here. So shout out again to Brian Shannon for introducing me to anchored VWAP here. So that's sitting at 98.95 here on Micron. We've already reclaimed some of this anchored from the earnings reaction here in the pre-market. You can see it's actually showing itself a little bit of a consolidation that happens on top of that earnings anchored, and we're trailing a little bit higher as well. So yeah, I'll definitely be watching this reaction right here, 95, when we did quadunk all the way down to a low of 85.57. We could only bounce up to 95s clean. The high of that candle is 95.00. So 95's definitely on watch. Lower high coming in at what is that specifically? 93.25 is the lower high here. So 93.25. So in the pre-market as of right now, we made a high of 92.90. So going to be watching a few of these prices, a little bit of a trend up on the day. Let's see if we come back and does anchored hold a support once again like it did in the pre-market, or do we move up all the way to the 99s, 98s? That's where that anchored from FOMC 2 p.m. is sitting at from yesterday. So I got a few prices on watch. Let's see what happens. I got a plan for going both ways on this one. See if we get a little bit of that continuation. Again, market tailwind dependent. Let's see what the chip sector is up to as well. We saw how crazy of a dump that SMH also had. So again, when the VIX is doing the things that it's doing right now, the market, in my opinion, is definitely in play. So there you go, right here. You can see if you threw on an anchored on the selling, there's no bid that really took it past that anchored. So those sellers definitely in charge all the way into the close and maybe a little bit further more. So let's see if that can potentially come in here. So SMH anchored to that 2 p.m. is something I'm also going to be referencing. We're trading right under it. It's so tight to it. It's really tight under it. So it's like, all right, well, is this going to be an over-under for me? I don't know just yet, but I'm definitely going to be watching what price action is going to be doing in and around some of these levels if I'm going to be trading Micron on the day today.
All right, let's go on to Tesla, back upside here to the tune of almost 3% this morning. We're back above 450, which is pretty key. Rejected 450 at the end of the day, going into the aftermarket as well. But what a sell-off we saw in Tesla yesterday on the Powell press conference. This number kind of concerning, I got to be honest. 41% decline in November for EU registration. So remember, 500,000 is their target for Q4. That's a big number, 41% drop again, EU registrations for Tesla.
Yeah, that's a concerning number. We'll have to keep an eye out on that one, Brendo. Yeah, there's another headline as well with respect to autonomous driving. Looks like they're really going ahead with this Austin launch. So here's the deal. So this was obtained through a Freedom of Information request. This was not actually announced by Tesla. Looks like Tesla officially engaging city officials in Austin to discuss the autonomous vehicle technology and launch. Elon Musk did announce plans for Tesla's driverless ride-hailing services in California and in Texas, both in the first half of 2025, Brenda. So we're awfully close to that. Want to hear more details? Man,
I was just watching this BPTH. We were talking to Luis about this at 250. It just tagged 450.
Join the dark side.
So, yeah, doubling in, what was that, half an hour ago?
Yeah, it's nothing. Obviously, that's an impressive move, but Tesla was an impressive move to the downside. And the annoying thing about this is Tesla was, when I left the office yesterday, Tesla was the top of my list for a bounce because it tagged 10% down and was going to be SSR. So you end up bouncing it doesn't get to the 420 level, but you bounce off of the mid 420s there, and now you're gapping higher. It's in a weird no man's land where between 55 and 60, like 60 being double barrel support there in Tesla, and Tesla actually ended up bouncing late in the day there. But between 455 and 460, you're running into, that's morning support for a rally of 20-something dollars. And you had afternoon support on Tuesday from the 460 level that ran $20. So you get to 460 and it's like, I'll chase that when it's this big of a level and it was chopped the day before. Like, no, like that's the sell zone. So if I'm looking for an SSR bounce, suddenly it almost like it needs to drop back into the 30s, like the 35 to 40 range, maybe like a clean 45. But yeah, if it gets up to that 460, I'd be looking for a pop and fade. It's difficult to like chasing any longs up at tops when the 10-year is still trending higher. Like that's a bit much for me, especially on anything which is in the healthy pullback range, which Tesla is in a healthy pullback range, just given how insane some of the price action we saw was. Like, you don't want to take anything away from the move that it had, but that's not that big of a deal on a pullback. And the last few times that it's had a decent sized pullback, there's been some continuation for a couple of days on Tesla. If that's the case, like we're up 2.5% here. And, if we get to that 460, like that area to me, like when you get into the prior lows, that's generally a fade zone and we're closer to that. There is, like Hims is moving here, guys. And I asked Dara, and I haven't heard any news specifically, but we're expecting an FDA announcement about shortages and the GLP-1 shortage to be over. We're reacting like that's true. We're down 15% here on Hims and continuing to fall. Like this stock is taking it on the chin. It's nasty. Is there a short seller report someone just said here in the chat? Yeah, but that's the yesterday's news, right? Yeah, I don't know if there's anything new today on Hims. I get it, there was a report yesterday, but now look at it. You're 16% down and continuing to fall. But yeah, just to recap Tesla, it's a pop and fade, that 60 level. I don't want to call it the Alamo, but that's, if I'm wrong if there's buyers holding above 460. That's the simple way to put it.
Yeah, no, my Tesla chart is getting pretty crowded with a lot of indicators and anchors that I have going on. So I gotta clean this one up. Look at that. We've pretty much traded so many different prices here, especially going into the close 427. Definitely going to be interesting to me here on Tesla, just higher time frame. You can see that we've been trending quite nicely here since about the beginning of December. We're coming right back into some of that trend support here and catching a little bit of a bid. Aggressive sell-off, yes. Do we revert? Well, the thing is, we've pretty much reverted almost 50% off of last night's lows already, coming into a little bit of this support from, what is this, Tuesday and Wednesday. That support was a little bit of resistance on Monday as well. I am looking at that 460 level. So that 460, I remember yesterday morning, Neil, I sent you a message at around 9 a.m. and I went back to make sure what time I sent that at, and it was a Tesla message, and I was like, all right, well, I feel
here it goes. Oh, I have it right here.
I feel very strongly about this, and this should kind of maybe direct my trading during the day here. Now it was a simple base rule. I'm like, all right.
All it was 460 over under.
460 over under.
Meaning,
so like very very straightforward level, showing up on the chart. It's support. So
it's the same thing today.
Yeah.
Like if the bid's holding above 460, and I'm fighting a short, then then I'm screwing up. Yeah. But if the bid isn't holding above 460 and we can't break that, then I'm looking for fades at that price. But you've got to be willing to admit when you're wrong on any trade, and so at least when you know where you're wrong, you can move on. Another day, another contract for Palantir, guys. It's like
another one.
Yeah, a day that ending in Y, and Palantir's got a new contract.
Right. Another day, another contract. Here it is, $619.9 million on an expansion with the Army, specifically on the AI and data side of things. We're right back to 74 here this morning. Another one that got clobbered late in the day yesterday.
Yeah, exactly what you said there. It's called the Army Vantage program, and the software is essentially supposed to help various domains, including readiness, logistics, recruiting, force management, so all the things you would expect the new version of AI to be able to handle. Palantir stock, guys, in case you haven't been with us for a while, has quadrupled in 2024, driven obviously by by AI. Analyst William Blair today chiming in with an underweight rating, believe it or not, citing the high valuation at 169 billion. He can't stomach that valuation.
I don't think a lot of people can, but opinion 72 was the aftermarket resistance, and then like that candle essentially was when this story actually broke initially after the close yesterday. So back to 74 here, which was yesterday's pre-market levels.
So like Palantir, I didn't even bother writing this one on my note because for the last week, there's one level to look at on Palantir. Yep. It's $71. Like what else are you going to do here? Like, there's been one day since it made the fail of the all-time high. There has been one day that 71 didn't hold. And on that day, all it did is spend the entirety of the second half of the day. Like right after noon, like noon is when it held 71, and then it broke higher. We bounced there yesterday. So like this is your spot on Palantir. You just got to be patient for it. You know, let the price come to you. It's gapping up. A lot of stocks are going to be doing this diddling in the middle thing. So if it's not near a level, you don't have to trade it. It's clear, to me, it's clear as day. If we get down in that range, that's where I look for a mean revert. Otherwise, this is probably not a name I'm going to touch unless it's just trending. Like if it gives you one of those, hey, we're just going to go trending, have a dip and rip that you miss, and then you hold some higher lows and hold VWAP and get some scalp trending into the afternoon, that's always available, but that's not a 9:30 thing. At 9:30, at the open, that's where you wait for the ultimate level or you don't trade it. And you can see on that 15-minute chart, 71 Palantir is what it is.
Yeah, I think that support level kind of shows itself. Even with that aggressive sell-off yesterday, we couldn't really get past that $70 level here. So you can see a strong sell-off with relative volume coming in on Monday, December 9th, and a strong flush all the way from 82, 72s pre-market highs all the way down to 71s and some change. You can see we try to get through that 70 aggressively coming in. That's a first 15-minute candle. So the first 15-minute candle off of the open on Wednesday, December 11th, breaks through that 70 mark, and look at that reversion coming right back in, all day bid all the way back up to 72s. And once again, we're holding that same price area here. So it seems like, yeah, 70, 71 area on Palantir continues to be bought up all the way. I mean, it's been showing itself pretty aggressively for a good chunk of the month here, kind of that bid starting up in and around December 5th off of those areas. Maybe one could argue that the bid actually started off at the very beginning of the month, December 3rd, from that pre-market action, and we've only sustained levels making higher lows, not necessarily higher highs, but higher lows on every strong flush that we've gotten on Palantir. So yeah, strong ticker nonetheless. And yeah, it seems like they get a contract every day that ends in a Y. I definitely agree with you there, Neil. But yeah, this thing's been picking up contracts, but the bigger picture trend is still very well intact on this ticker. So something to watch out for.
All right, Google next here. Back to the upside this morning as well. I mean, all these charts kind of looking the same right now. 1.5%. This is a pretty big number. 5 million rides completed here for Waymo, and continuing to expand in the U.S. specifically, but also ahead of Tokyo to come next for them.
And the speed at which they're advancing. So 5 million total, Brendo, 4 million just this year. So the speed's really picking up. And they're obviously operating in Phoenix, Los Angeles, San Francisco. They have been. But really, the key part about this is their expansion plans. They're going to commercially launch, according to their statements, in Austin, in Atlanta, vis-a-vis the Uber app, and that's going to be next year, 2025. Then Miami, that's next on the list. That's planned for 2026. That's going to be in partnership with Move, Moove. Then the company, we reported about this earlier this week, Tokyo by 2025. Lots of adaptations that have to be made for there, specifically with right-hand drive, and obviously having to chart and map out the entire area there. So very interesting. I got to tell you, you and I are talking off camera. I didn't anticipate the speed with which they're accelerating.
Yeah, which leads you to believe, I think, as well, that others, Tesla, going to be right behind them here as soon as they're capable of it. 150 trips or 150,000 trips a week, just to put some context on that. That's a lot.
This is your autonomous play. This is your quantum play. I mean, Google, it gives you a little bit of everything here. Now, on the flip side of it, hey, we just failed 200, and we came into yesterday bearish on Alphabet. Obviously, not that bearish. I mean, look at it. You don't know what's going to happen at 2 o'clock, but came in bearish because of the topping tail candle at $200. So I mean, if there's a pop, I'd feel the same way. It's just, yeah, where are you going to? Like, I feel as if we do get a pop and fade, I'm going to like something like a Mara 23. That'll be in play. The Tesla 460. I just feel like that's going to be a much better opportunity than Google, which went to and now holding top end support. Like, are we really going to get back into the 95, 96, or 94? Not really sure that's going to set up for me at Alphabet. There were a few super chats, and apologies for not getting to this. And Vasil was asking about Nike. Their earnings are today. We're definitely going to look at Nike throughout the day. I don't have any particular thoughts on it for any trades today, unfortunately, but that's something we can talk about later. And then how is NVIDIA looking under Trump's tariffs with China? In a general sense, NVIDIA hasn't changed on NVIDIA with one, like the only exception is now we have a clean double bottom at 127. It looked like you were in for a continuation, like V-shape to get you to 140, where I think that would have been a sell on NVIDIA, and that would get you to the 50 period, like 50 period support, turning into resistance, that kind of a thing. And now you just got, to me, a double bottom at 127 after yesterday's lows. You put in a bottom that holds, like if you hold the prior week, the prior day low, when you get a flush like this, and yeah, this actually does extend into 27, then I know that's where the support is going to be for me. And that's like a gold level as far as I'm concerned on NVIDIA. NVIDIA is fully capable of giving you some kind of a trade out in front there. But another stock diddling in the middle at its current price, like that's just in the exact middle of the desired range of trade, which means I'd stay away from it unless it trades toward my price. I want to trade things that are close to key prices, not away from them.
Yeah, this Waymo stuff is definitely interesting. Talk about a ticker that's too big to fail and has their limbs and arms and legs in a little bit of everything, and that's Google for you. But a failure to follow through of that 200 was pretty interesting. We were here, we traded it, a little bit of a euphoric push and pull into that 200 and back through, and then you get that. Here's the thing. I 100% agree with Neil when he says price action is king. So if I were to look at this chart, and I didn't know that FOMC was yesterday, I didn't know that there was any catalyst, but what I did see was that we failed to follow through that 200. We consolidated below prior day's range, and then at the end of the day, we puked aggressively off of that 200 failure to follow through. I'm definitely looking at that as a little bit of a sign of concern, maybe potentially. If we can't reclaim some of these levels, I'm going to be continuing to look for a potential pullback continuation here. We got that aggressive selling again. Once again, I do want to do the same thing here. Kind of with reference to that flush off of yesterday's action at 2 p.m. and then also if I really do like that 200, maybe take that top as well, and then I want to put an anchored on there as well. Now I think it was Jake in the chat that was asking how do I get to that anchored. It's on the right hand side here, fifth option down, volume based right here, and then it's a default indicator on this platform here. But as of right now, we're trading a little bit above that, and we're getting a pop up into the open here with only about a couple minutes left to go. So one to watch, maybe not the top one on my list today for sure.
All right, crypto back upside here in a decent way, 2% right now this morning. We held on to 100,000 again at the lows yesterday. This is a daily chart, so big ugly red candle after the Powell move yesterday, but we're gaining, better part of 25% of that back right now in the pre-market. So yes, equities are bouncing, but we'll have to see. I mean, I said to you just before we came on here, I think this is going to be an important day for not only the equity side of things, we'll see what happens with Bitcoin, but I mean, if the market opens and we get some pretty heavy selling coming back in like we saw late in the day yesterday, Watch out.
Yeah, it could be a decisive day, Brendo. The market could be communicating something to us. If we continue to sell off aggressively, we'll have to wait and see. So a couple of tidbits here with respect to the rates and crypto. We've been talking about this for a while. Crypto rate sensitive. Why? Because when you cut rates, you weaken the U.S. dollar, and the crypto does better versus the U.S. dollar. So with us looking at 2 rate cuts into 25 as opposed to 4, that kind of puts a little bit of a damper on crypto. Now, the other side of that, in addition to that, Jerome Powell was asked point blank yesterday whether the Federal Reserve would be interested in holding crypto as a strategic reserve, and he obviously answered with the current state of the law, which is he can't. Nor can he, lobby Congress because they cannot be political. So I thought this question was a little loaded. It's not the Federal Reserve that is going to be creating that strategic reserve. It would have to be the U.S. Department of Treasury, and that would have to come through Congress. So we'll have to see exactly how that all panned out. But people took to X really aggressively yesterday, basically saying that they were thinking it had something to do with what he said. I disagreed with that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in the past, and we'll probably see in the future more. He has a lot of influence and tends to have a lot of influence on what happens here. Yeah, we're about 5 seconds away here from the market open. 2 and 1. Late's better than not at all.
Okay, they said this could be one of those mornings where you're not necessarily in anything too crazy right away. Like, I'm looking over here. Mara, I said 23 I liked for a pop and fade, and I want to try to stick to that. But if you're looking at Tesla, like right off the bat here, Tesla bouncing 450, you're still inside range. Let me zoom in because yesterday's moves are going to be so wild, you don't want to see the scaling of those charts. So we're basically just inside of the range on like a Tesla. Don't necessarily want to jump into anything at a crazy, crazy price. Let things try to calm down. Nvidia is starting to drop a little bit. Let's be, like you said, let's be a little bit patient. I don't want to buy any of these highs. I want to be able to react. And here comes Mara. Like, here's the example. Mara's starting to scream higher. That 23 level, look for a bit of a fade if it can do a curl. And look at Micron. Micron doesn't even want to give you any shot to fade it. Micron dropping now 14% down and continuing to bleed. Remember in the aftermarket, it bounced off 85. So that's the level for an SSR bounce on Micron. Wow, what a bleed here. The market actually holding up, and it's Micron that's doing the biggest move, and it's right to the downside. Yuck.
Yeah, I tried to get in over there at the 89s. Couldn't really get that fill right as of right now. But yeah, don't forget it is SSR. And the bids are getting hit. So 88's coming in as of right now. So let's see. I definitely want to be a little bit patient with this one. But that 89 fill, that was quite nice for the pull in. Now we're coming into those 88. Some size sitting on that 88. Might need to be a little bit careful with this one. There it is. All right, so I definitely got to throw in a little bit of a stop here, Neil, if that'll happen.
Here comes Tesla.
Oh boy. All right, so yeah, let's see if we get stopped out of this one. That thing just ripping right back up. Don't forget, SSR, when the bid does catch, if and when it does catch, it can be pretty aggressive, and that aggressive bid right back up to 89. So I'm more than willing to get stopped out here for a push. There it is. There's the stop out. So we did get a bid off of that 88 back into 89s. Let's see if we can take a push up into 90 as of right now. So we did pull back up off of some of these pre-market levels here, and that selling was pretty aggressive. So 91, 92 are some of these pre-market levels. But if this bounce doesn't really follow through, I'm more than willing to get right back in for a continuation to the downside here. But what is the market doing, Neil? Neil, the market is pulling back off of 21.7.
Oh, right. Tesla, you've got it. Tesla was so close. Tesla was about to break the pre-market high, got right up to 456, that pre-market top. I'm like, okay, that's the press. It breaks this, we're heading to 460, and then just dumped $6 back into the 450 level. So yeah, we didn't quite get there. I felt like we're pretty strong off the open, and we'd give it a chance. It still has an opportunity to get up to that price. Mara just did a topping tail at 22.90, so it looks like it respected the 22.90. I was all over Tesla in that moment. Suppose could have stuck with Mara in front of 23, but Tesla was the top of my list, so was looking for that to give me the opportunity to short it up there. But obviously, you're not going to get that price unless we get another hefty move back into the upside. So Mara, still trying to trend higher. I wanted to wait for that 23 level. 22.5 is not the area that I want to be involved in. Palantir is flying.
Oh boy.
Yeah, forget about 71. You're obviously not going to get a 71 print on Palantir. Nuke is halted, which does not surprise me whatsoever. NUKK is going to be halted. We'll get there in a second. But Palantir, 77, yesterday's top. Anything that breaks either the highs or lows from yesterday on a Fed day, obviously that's going to be a gigantic deal. No question about it. But that NUKK halted down.
Yeah.
Halted downside. Okay, I thought we were close to breaking the pre-market highs at 80 level. Halted to the downside, NUKK. Tap is $67. Oddly enough, I just assumed that it was halted up the way that it had been moving earlier. So patience, looking for this Mara. It's still trying to trend higher. I don't want to jump in too early on this. It's a very strong bounce. Bitcoin's only at 103. Tesla's still not really doing much. It's trying to break that 450. I don't know if we're going to get the bounce to be able to fade on Tesla. Tesla's starting to look a little bit weak. Now it's starting to lose a bit under 450. Didn't want to have to chase this one under.
Yeah,
Went out of a choice.
The spider's kind of climbing to the upside here, 592 and some change as of right now. I'm watching a few other earnings names. Another earnings name was Lennar. Lennar catching a bit of a bid there, so distinctly different from that of Micron. Micron, here comes that 88 level on Micron. Let me pull it up for you guys here so you guys can see the tape alongside me as well. You can see 88's incoming. Let me throw in the size filter as well so we can take a look at anybody significant. There we go, 250 lots there on the bid at 88's. Gets taken out into the bid there. So don't forget, it is an SSR with some size getting taken out on the bid. Got to be careful for when the bid does catch. Again, we saw what it did when the bid caught right off of the open on top of that 89. We bid right back up to 90s there on Micron. So again, where was that anchored VWAP? It was at 90.26. So maybe my stop should have been a little bit wider, but I could have been a little bit more patient to wait for that anchor to come in. But as of right now, technically, we are not only rejecting the earnings anchored, but intraday anchored as well. Coming to the downside, 85.57 is the earnings reaction low. Current pre-market low is 86.96. So let's see if we can get down to 87s here with any sort of distinction, and then maybe we can take it a little bit further down into 85s there. So again, longer time frame with the market coming down. I think if you go back and look at the chart, there's a bit of a level in and around 85s to 84s. Let's see if we can crack that to take inventory a little bit lower than that. Again, eyes on TQs, eyes on SMH as well at the same time, because again, trading chip ticker, I definitely want to watch the semiconductor ETF here. And the semiconductor ETF, we talked about putting that anchored into 2 p.m. yesterday. We rejected that. We're rejecting that off of the open with NVIDIA to the downside, AMD to the downside, TSM to the downside, Micron as well to the downside as well. So let's see if we can crack through this 80.
You got to be kidding me, Tesla.
So what is Tesla doing?
I got into Marvell, which is the name in the afternoon show that I regretted most not getting the fade, but this came right back into the dump zone at 250 and failed 110. So it does give a pop and fade off that. I'm short at 9s, but Tesla, oh my goodness. So it broke 450, you're now headed to 440 and continuing to absolutely flush here. So Tesla taking on the chin, it's almost red on the day. So we got into Micron, I'm gonna quickly show you, not Micron, Marvell. All right, if I make that mistake, Obi's in Micron. We get to 108, I wanna make sure we take some out in front of that low. 107 also going to be a level here on Marvell. But what's actually holding up, despite the fact that the market did that U-turn, well, at least it was a second ago, was Apple. And trust me, like a second ago, this stock was actually looking good. It was holding 249, but now it's starting to come back in. So the pop and fade looks like it was the way to go. The NASDAQ and there's a NASDAQ, pop, fade, ES holding up a little better. ES cracking 6,000 and now heading lower. But yeah, Tesla kind of eluded us. Should have just taken a 450 break. What happens is your plan of action ends up being, no, I want to short a pop. And when it does the flat bottom break of the pre-market lows, don't end up taking it. I'd watch out for Palantir, everybody, because like this one is going parabolic. You never really want to have something fail back underneath. We've seen the back end of Palantir before. It can get nasty if it decides to follow the market and the market ends up turning red. But for now, Palantir, and Apple are the two of the strongest names I'm looking at here, Obi. Everything else is looking pretty weak.
Yeah, I think definitely some strength to the downside here on Micron as of right now, trading below 87s here. We talk about that 85, 86 or 85, 84 area being a potential area of interest.
Tesla.
Again, looking for that level to potentially come in if we're going to have it. The market is down pretty aggressively as well. We sold off of that 21.7 coming right into 21.6. Let's see if that 21.6 acts as any sort of support here. As of right now, not really seeing anything too much. I do have to, you know what? Oh boy, I gotta pull up a 30-second chart here because things are getting a little bit interesting here on the Micron. So, oh boy, what a beautiful, beautiful trend here on the 30-second chart.
This thing is dumb.
To the downside as of right now, and oh my God, I definitely don't have enough. But you know what? We'll see. We'll wait. We'll be patient.
You always have what you have.
I think what I have, got to take the trade for what it is.
Yeah, I think one of those things is it's so easy to like, oh, I don't have what I want. I should be adding. But remember, this is now, Micron's now at the bottom. Effectively, like this is where it bounced in the aftermarket. Yeah. That's at 85 to 86 level. So you're pretty darn close. By the way, like Apple's still trending higher. I saw a few questions in the chat about NVIDIA holding under VWAP, headed back down to the lows, 127, the key price to watch there. Also in actual strength, or I think it was Alvarez, was it Jose Alvarez in the chat? That you have Visa, which is ripping. But eyeballs on Apple, I think, for the Mag 7 names anyways. That one is all green candles, at least since the open, and headed for 250. 250 seems like an obvious, if the market's going to continue to head down, that could be the curl. But suddenly, because you're at that 85 on Micron, like this is it's 17% down. This would be the area for the SSR bounce, if there even is one. It would be at the 85 level.
Let's go straight through 84.12.
If it just flushes right through this, it's gonna be nasty.
That the mean revert monthly low is at 84.12.
This would be nasty. This is getting nasty on Micron. The guide was terrible, but
I mean, here's the thing: we got that aggressive sell-off yesterday, right? And then Micron has earnings that dumps on that as well. And then we start breaking prior bars on monthlies. The monthly support is sitting at 84.12 as of right now, with a bit of supply, with a bit of demand area in that 85. Again, Wayne and I were talking about this last night, so shout out to Wayne on that one. Definitely, it's coming right into some of that area here. Let's see. Again, I was like, yeah, my idea would be to take some inventory through that level if the trend kind of dictates. But again, we could get a potential bounce there. We've bounced there for the past. What months are these? Let me check quickly. So if you look at the September low and the July, was it the July? No. So August low and September low. A little bit of a double bottom there in that 84 area. So let's see if we can, kind of go down there. Trend is holding as of right now, but let's see how much longer it'll hold. We've sold off pretty aggressively as well, so want to keep that in mind. Market catching a little bit of a bounce here as well. So so any sort of break of trend, I definitely want to lighten up the load here and maybe reassess. But these moves are absolutely crazy. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, as again, we bring you the market, I guess, play by play here. 87's coming right back in. So let's see. There
goes that 450. So we tried our shot at 450, and there was coming right here. Come to the chart. There you go. Very quickly, we bounced off the prior pre-market low. The second it happened, like when we missed it the first time through, I'm going to take my shot at it the second time, but it's still going to be front end of the trade. And then the other thing that happened is Marvell. We got our fill at 8s. Then we short again at VWAP. Now it's taken out the top. So initially worked, reload's not going to. Gonna back off from those. The market's coming right back into those highs. So I think you got to be patient. Micron. While that was happening, there's a bounce on Micron. It was right at that 86. I think we might have just missed the SSR bounce, getting that Tesla at 450. But Tesla was the top of the list today. So I know this is at a level where I want to take some shots. If we're going to continue to put in lower highs, the lower highs to me is valid till 453, and we can stay on trend. Probably need this bar to close and give us some continuation on that bad boy. And then if you're looking at crypto, we're back to 102. This is what also happened in Mara. Not that we didn't try to get short, but when this lost 22.75, it just really flushed. So I might have to look at a VWAP trade here on Mara, something a little different than playing it off of the 23 level. It's still looking relatively weak. VWAP being at 22.5 there, but we're still looking for the short. Just, once again, you're going to have to be patient. Look for that back end. I think we might have the back end here on Tesla. Like I said, I'm going to take multiple shots there. Is that a call for Adara?
Keep an eye on TripAdvisor here. TRIP up about 11% so far in the day. Look at that big volume spike here. Basically announcing this morning they're going to acquire Liberty TripAdvisor for an aggregate transaction value of roughly $435 million. So $435 million acquisition here for TRIP with a short float of 9%. Back to you.
IP going to be in play. All right. Oh, by the way, that Nuke, for everyone that's still looking at it, halted down again. So this is the second down halt on Nuke. It's a $60 halt. The current indicated open price is $55. So this is going to open down another almost 10%. We said be careful with this stock. We meant be careful with it. I really did think it had a chance to break out the highs. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit disappointing. Shoot, I didn't get anything more at 49s on Tesla. I got some 48s on the way back through in Tesla, but I wasn't able to, as you just said, Obi, I wasn't actually able to get any shares tighter to the 449. I just grabbed some out here at this prior bar, I guess, close and open, which is 446, and we'll look for another pop and fade maybe into the 450 level. So Tesla still holding range. When I see Micron's right back down at those lows, Obi, as it continues to come to the downside. The market overall, like if you're still watching what's going on here, we're still looking pretty, like it's red, but we're still holding higher lows. So it's kind of indeterminate. You want to make sure you're getting a good price here. It's not obvious trend down. You can still bounce here on the NASDAQ and maintain a little bit of an upward trend. I don't know that I can say the same for my good friend Mara. Mara, this is much more just cleanly to the downside, now breaking the lows. Next available pop, I gotta try to get this short in MARA, as it's looking pretty nasty.
Yeah, so
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, market comes right back into that 21.6 and trading below now. Micron did have a little bit of a bounce. I don't know if that bounce is it. I don't know if these are the lows now, but let's see. The market catching a little bit of a bounce, so I do have to stay wary on this one. But I think that 85 might not be as clean as I'm looking for. So I'll stay a little bit patient. We are pretty weak on the day as well. Now, something I said before, we got to keep an eye on SMH as well. So SMH catching a little bit of a bounce, but at the same time, also have to put into consideration that Micron has earnings and is SSR. So it could very well do its own thing at the same time. So we're going to keep that in mind. The bids are still getting hit. As of right now. So again, on an SSR name, we talk about this a bunch of times, and when the bids get hit on an SSR name, it kind of gives you an idea that maybe it's people who already have inventory that are doing most of the selling. But that when that stops and the pressure changes and the hands kind of turn, you can see that aggressive buying to the upside as well most of the time. So let's see if any of these highs sustain here. VWAP all the way at 88.24s. I don't know if we're going to get there just yet, but I'm going to let it consolidate. I'm going to let it work here. Trend is my friend, Neil. And yesterday, I definitely paid a little bit of a price fighting the trend. And you know what? Every now and then, Mother
Usually
Market,
that's how it works.
Yeah, Mother Market kind of puts me in my place for my degeneracy at times. And I'm like, I get reminded of my rules, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a reason why I have a 3-strike rule. There's a reason why I need to get up from the desk after taking too many stop outs there. And yeah, so it was yesterday was a good reminder of that. Paid a little bit of market tuition. But again, we get a little bit better every day. So I coming in today, hopefully a little bit better from yesterday, trying to get with the trend on a lot of these tickers. Now, again, don't forget 84.12 is that monthly low on Micron. So I'm just seeing whether or not the selling pressure is significant enough to take us into some of those levels here. Low of day as of right now, 85.57. Surprisingly enough, it is pretty much the exact same as that earnings reaction low at that 85.57. So a bit of a double bottom happening here. So definitely maybe some players taking some risk on at that level, but if that level cracks, oh boy, only about a point, roughly, point and a half, roughly away from that 84 level. But we'll see. I'm more than willing to be.
Obi, this is getting a little bit stronger.
What's happening?
I don't know what's going on in
Tesla
Micron.
chart?
Actually, I do know Micron. I have Micron up on another chart, but Tesla did the over-under again at 450. Was able to get the reload. We got some out there at 446 half is our best, even though the bottom was like 445, but it just bounced off 448. So, it's going to tighten things up a little bit. Clearly the 450 is working, at least for now, but you're getting higher lows. You have I don't want to call it a capitulation bottom, but you got higher lows in here. If we break this out, there is not going to be another reload unless we can hold trend. If we're holding trend and some lower highs, then I think it's worth a reload. Until then, scalp it into the $4 or $5 range and try to hold some for the low. Stop out if we break out that local high. Affirm came right into our target area and did a bit of a trend break. So there's our wicks above the 66 level into 67. You can pull up a 15-minute chart and see what that works out to. But it broke the trend. I got short. I'm looking for VWAP, and then we're out if it breaks out above 67 there on Affirm. It's Apple that continues to look strong. It's holding above VWAP and giving you a nice little bull flag setup. This is the one, like if the market goes, like I feel like this one's got a bit of a push there for sure into that 250 level. Just needs to hold on to VWAP. The market's still in that lower end of the range. So that was the plan for Tesla. It's still holding right here at the 450. But you got to remember, it's SSR. If it blasts off through 451, the original plan was 460 short. It's at 450. You can't just sit there and be wrong for $10. You got to be willing to lose like $1.50 on the move when we're taking $1.50 to $2, $3, $4 for scalp wins. That's just part of the game here on Tesla. Yeah, Micron, I probably missed an SSR bounce on Micron, but you got to be able to live with it. The only new position is going to be Affirm, and BPTH is halted. So there goes Tesla. I'm going to get out. Fortunately, we're lucky to get some scalps out, but now you're getting higher lows. Higher lows into this means no reload. No reload unless it sets up at a different price. It's a little too strong in this moment, so we have to back off it and then just wait for the next trade. Affirm is the trade that we just took. Didn't get any bids in front of VWAP, a bit distracted by Tesla, but this gets into VWAP. I can now show you what the 15-minute chart looks here. It came right into our short zone, which is prior support levels, and did a mean reversion, so shorted it when it got back through, and looking to get it down to VWAPs here at 65.5 and 65 even. We'll be taking some profit on Affirm. Just be cautious, be patient, trade only off key price levels, everybody. We expected some more volatility than this, but really, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's good for the long term that we're kind of holding out here, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm just keeping an eye on the market here. It's 6,000 reject on the ES, so that's something interesting as well. I know that 6,000 was a very anticipated level for a very long time, and yeah, we did a little bit of a chop and churn of that area, rejecting off of it as of right now, with the second 15-minute candle of the day printing a little bit red, pulling us back in. Similar story here with the Nasdaq as well, trading below that 21,600. I got Starbucks on watch as well, and oh boy, Neil, missed a trade on that one as well. So a bit of a VWAP hold.
Is it still going down
on Bucks? Yeah, I think there's some bigger picture stuff going on there, man. I think
I
so.
agree.
Definitely a miss on my part not being involved with that ticker. But you know what? I am focused on this Micron as of right now, as you guys can see, kind of staring down this tape here just to see. Again, more than willing to give this a couple of shots. Maybe the trade is done. Maybe the bottom of the day is going to be 85.57 going forward. But I do like that we are making somewhat of lower highs as of right now, with the market trending to the downside as well. So again, like I said, SSR, we can rip up a decent chunk if buyers decide to step in and that sell pressure is kind of gone, and that's kind of what I'm watching for, to kind of get out of the way if that does show up. And if it doesn't, that's perfectly fine. I'm looking to take this through the lows, but we got to the 85, so I did get a decent chunk of what I was looking for. So 85.57, double bottom low, bottom of earnings reaction. Yeah, that's a little that's somewhat significant that we're bouncing off of that right now, but again, any sort of longs that are getting in on that, definitely risking in and around those areas as well. So let's see who gets taken out. But oh boy, Starbucks continuing to the downside, Neil. We're trading below $90 now on Starbucks. Now that name is not SSR. You can definitely hit the bid into Starbucks there.
Also worth noting here, I was commenting about the 10-year. Like it's still trading up at the top end of the range. So it's worth watching. It was part of the reason, to convince me to buy anything off of highs. I really think you're going to have to revert a little bit of that move. Bitcoin tested down to 100,000. So right now you have a bounce off the 100,000 area on BTC. What that's done is I'm looking at Tesla, obviously, is still holding above VWAP, and above 450. Nothing crazy there. But Mara, we liked Mara for a short up in front of 23. Now we're going to get a shot at VWAP. Now keep in mind, with Bitcoin bouncing here, I don't necessarily want to jump in. I want to make sure I'm getting it on the other end of the trade. So now that the selling's coming in under VWAP, I'm going to nibble in here at the pre-market lows, try and catch some quarters, and then be able to play into VWAP on Mara. The pop and fade, I think, still valid. I just watched Apple lose support a little bit here. So Apple's starting to lose some support. Tesla's trying to roll back over. The market's trying to roll back over. Affirm is working down for me into VWAP. It's only 40, 45 pennies in the money, but I think that's going to be a buck if we lose VWAP rather quickly. And Tesla's right back at 450, Obi. So I don't think the short is necessarily done yet. I think it's might just be getting started.
Yeah, I think the market's coming in again, so we're reverting the reversion now. So we had that strong sell-off yesterday. We bid back up a little bit in the after hours, and now that bid back up is reverting. So basically, continuation of yesterday's move is potentially what's happening here on the markets. Micron kind of oh boy, that was an aggressive bid on Micron there. So we did pop up 40 pennies there on that bid, and it is holding. What is this? This is an anchor that I did not put on there. So we are holding that 86 mark as of right now. So still trading underneath VWAP in and around that $88 level here. I have VWAP at 88.14, and then anchored VWAP at 88.97. So still trading well below that. Market to the downside. Let's see what SMH is doing. We got to keep an eye on that one there. SMH almost near day lows right here, trading at 241.40s on SMH. Nvidia with a little bit of a bid maybe. TSM is trading near day lows. AMD near day lows. Intel actually catching a little bit of a decent bounce there. Retracing it hasn't really done too much off of the open, but the selling off that did happen, it's retraced about half of that move there.
Tesla might have just liquidity grabbed under 450. Wow. So if you're watching Tesla, which I am right now, it's obviously one of the main stocks I want to be trading today. Volume great, but it just was underneath VWAP, it was underneath the 450. You could see it start to consolidate. And just when it looked like it was going to close on weakness, it snapped back up above 450. If it holds the higher low here, Tesla might make that run at 460 after all. So worth watching. If it can hang on to VWAP, I think it gets a little bit bullish. Palantir, which we had mentioned, I know a lot of people have asked about it. It's holding on to VWAP. It's still lower highs in Palantir. I can't get excited about this, as I said, with what I'm seeing and how far the market gapped up and the 10-year holding where it is. I don't necessarily want to be chasing something. It's still lower highs. If it makes that rounded bottom that you're looking for on a strong move, a little bit better. And I didn't have a level here that I was working off with a Palantir. It looks pretty strong to me, but I want to stick to the names, at least for myself, that we're interested in grabbing. So we're able to get some 20s there on Mara. I said I wanted to nibble in on the way back down. I didn't want to chase too far, so I'm literally in 20%. I'd like to be closer to VWAP if I can, which is a good 10, 15 cents up. So I have to be a little bit patient maybe if we're not able to get better prices here on MARA. But wow, Tesla, it's holding that 450. Looks like if we close this bar above 450, that's usually a long setup for me. So I should probably listen to that on Tesla, at least temporarily. 450 could turn it an over-under the same way I think 460 was for us. I'm not sure what Micron is doing
We're coming
OB.
right back up. So I did stop out of that one pretty much for roughly a break even, because I'm like, if it's gonna rip up, I'm more than willing to get better prices on this one. But 87.5's holding as of right now. Again, 88 is that anchored. So like I said, the bid came in quite aggressively just now with almost a 30-40 penny pop coming into 87. So I do want to respect that a little bit here, but that bid is starting to slow down. So again, going to pack my patience here. If the selling is done, then the selling is done. Market is still consolidating around that 21.6, so I want to be wary of that, and continue to stay involved in, again, an earnings day one, definitely in play name. Let's see if we can get a bounce here. A bit of a dead cat happening, but you know what? We'll see how.
I hate that term.
Wow. Okay, so this thing is definitely doing a little bit of. Okay, I don't want to chase too much, but
I just want to clarify something.
Yes.
Eleb in the chat, is it Eleb, Neil? Are you trying to short Mara or long? So if you're watching, I've just confirmed by looking myself, the position board is correct. So if you see, those are our current live positions, right? Like I'm short Affirm at 66.25. I'm short Mara at 22.19. So the plan was originally to short it in front of 23. That was on the note, but now you're putting in lower highs. So I'm just going with the trend, and the plan was to fade in Affirm. We're now at 101 underneath 101 on Bitcoin. So there's low of the day. I'm short Affirm. That was always the plan. Let's go to Adara.
About 10 seconds away from getting this housing or home sales data here. We're expecting 4.08 million versus previous at 3.96 million. For the change, we're expecting 3.03%, so a little bit lower than the previous print of 3.4%. And these numbers have come in. Existing home sales, 4.15 million. So that is above the forecast of 4.08 million and the previous of 3.96 million. And then, of course, as a result, we also have a higher than expected existing home sales change number, 4.8% on a month-over-month basis versus 3.03% expected. We also got the leading index change month-over-month, 0.3% versus negative 0.1% expected. So higher than expected prints across the board here. Q is continuing to chop around here, currently hanging out around that 0.5% level to the upside. It's been a really eventful day yesterday, so lots on watch. Bitcoin still waffling around that $100,000 level, trying to bounce after that weakness yesterday. Tesla, you're on watch as well, of course. A couple different catalysts. 41% decrease here in EU registrations, which of course is a little bit problematic because Tesla's looking for 500,000 plus deliveries here for Q4. Also here, we did have reports that the company is going to be talking to Austin and trying to bring their autonomous vehicles to Texas. It was reported by Bloomberg. NVIDIA on watch here as well. NVIDIA and Apple had a bit of a shared catalyst, and Apple researchers posted that the two companies are working together. So keep an eye on NVDA, TSLA, really this whole market, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adair. Right now, the market's starting to head to the downside. That one's loud. I don't know if it's as loud for you guys as it feels like it was for me, but low of the day just broke on Mara. Ooh. Bitcoin lost 101,000, so obviously we should have had it at 23, but it just broke 22s. I'm bidding 21.8s. The next, every 20 cents on a $20 stock is generally speaking a 1% move. So I'm kind of going by these 1% after you break that low of the day. And Affirm just went to target. So to the gates of hell you go, Affirm. Although if you look at a daily chart, it's not really that bad. But the why out here, I've made this mistake on Affirm before. Keeping in mind what this chart looks like on the daily, it is at support right now. Where we bounced off of was like the last support before you made the break into the high. So yeah, we get up into that 67 range, but once you start getting into the low 64s, you got yesterday's bottoms, and then you've got the consolidation at 64. That's a mean reversion trade. I'm not taking it to VWAP and want it further. I'm taking it into the low. So again, sometimes like Tesla's frustrating me, but this was more simple. This came into our price zone, looked for it to at least revert the trend. It had a tight trend after the first original candle. Get in and then work it down into the low. That was the plan of action. But as I said, Tesla frustrates me. And now it's starting to hold underneath 450. And this time I don't have it. Thankfully, the other shorts we have worked. But this is the one I want to get back to as Tesla loses the 450 level. So we're still looking relatively red on the day. Like I said, didn't want to buy any of those tops. If the 10-year wasn't going to do some kind of a reversion, I didn't want to be fighting anything until I get some serious confirmation. And for Tesla, it's still doing a frustrating dance off 450. Like, you want to get chopped up or you want to join a trend? I'd rather join a trend, bank the wins that we got, and join a trend instead of try to fight something.
Yeah. So Micron coming right back in. So you know what, I am keeping it tight. So I stopped out of that one once again. Maybe this is poised to come into that anchor again. I do have to respect that we are bouncing off of that earnings reaction low at that 85.57 to the penny. So that is definitely something interesting. Again, anchored, sitting all the way up at 88.86s. Maybe that's where I reassess for a little bit of a continuation there. Yeah, 87 halves trading as of right now. I did like this price a little bit earlier as well. So I do want to stay patient with this one, but at the same time, I know that this selling is getting a little aggressive every time it does come in. Oh boy. Oh my God! Wow, look at that. Okay, so I was waiting for it to get some more in, and we're tanking to the downside. So you know what? I'll take less, and then I'll participate in or try to participate in this move here. Oh boy, we're coming in real hot, Neil. Okay, so I guess missed trade on my part as we crack a little bit of that trend support coming in. But
Bitcoin wants 100,000, I think.
Is that where that's coming into?
It's still trending down toward it. We just keep holding on to these lows. I mean, I know the Nasdaq's not exactly flushing super big here, but like, it's since the open 15-minute chart, it's big red candle, little red candle with a rejection wick above prior support, and now you're consolidating underneath the low. So I think this still sets up the short thesis to the lows more than anything else. Like, it doesn't round this bottom out. Got to still be thinking for those shorts and looking for those entries. Let's go up to the desk. Adara's got something for us.
Keep an eye on UNH here. I'm reading that Luigi Magnone, which is the shooter of, or alleged shooter of Brian Thompson here, has actually waived extradition so he can have his trial in New York. The reason to bring that up is because, A, we are having a bit of a bounce here on UNH, and it's also worth noting that UNH does tend to respond, for whatever reason, to any news stories about this case. So if we see anything more here, I'll let you know, but a little bit of a bounce for United Health. Back to you guys.
Maybe not so much for this market just yet. As look, IBIT is now almost flat. Understand it's a 24-hour market, but it's underneath. So if you're tracking IBIT, it's underneath 57 for you to get to 100,000, right? So 57 is just a round number, but if you break it, you're then within 1 point of getting a 100,000 level test. So IBIT is testing that low. As that happened, I just prefer trading Mara to the short side on these types of moves. Like Mara, we got VWAP. I can cancel my VWAP offer. Why? Well, because if Mara decides to pop 2.5% and hold essentially green, because it closed at 2161, if this is going to hold green and bounce back into VWAP, I don't want to just be sitting there. I want to see it make a lower high, ideally, or give me the curl. So we'll just hang on to this, see how far it wants to fall, or mean revert as Mara continues to work. Affirm, that's actually still holding that 64 level, but just barely. Like, we got out, and it's maybe still heading into the downside. It's just Tesla's the one that's frustrating me. And when I look at this, like, I look over at Mara, the short that we took there, and how that's continuing and how Affirm got to target. Look at Tesla. Even if we're still in the 450, it's kind of diddling. It looks like it wants to go down, but I'm not getting that feel that it wants to drop like an absolute rock. And then I look over at something else, like in Nvidia's starting to lose this bid.
Yep.
Yeah, so like this, like it might be, like Nvidia might be a better play in here as it's going to lose this 130. Uber and Sebastian saying Uber and Robinhood are losing it. Don't forget $60 on Uber. Anytime you have a stock that is already put in a big low going into a Fed day and we get a big move, like it's already shown you the 60, and that was before we had the Fed. So it's about $1 away from that. There's been some buyers down at the 60 level on Uber if you happen to be in it.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to get in. Oh boy. All right, so 86 is incoming. Oh my God, bid getting smashed there. I tried to post for a little bit more above 86s. So like you said, we have what we had. I got into a decent amount that I was comfortable with on this pop back up, but you can see I got stopped out, man. I got stopped out on this push. Bit of a too tight of a stop apparently. Yeah, coming right back into these lows. Again, I don't think I want to be the biggest just yet. I want to be as big as I'm comfortable with below or going into that 85 to 84 level. So I'm still kind of, just kind of dancing with some of this price action. Missed out on a few opportunities here in the chop to kind of scalp out and churn and maybe create some cash flow. That's also something that I do have to get a little bit better at. But I think I did well in getting short with a ticker that's clearly selling off. It's in trend to the downside here, so I haven't really reverted just yet. Looking for that 85 to come in. So, oh boy, here we go. So 85 and change coming in. 85.57 is that morning day low. Let's see if we can crack through that level. Coming in pretty hot in 85.90s right now. So, oh boy, I liked my average above 87. Now I'm holding 86 halves. So this is gonna what?
It looks like
it looks like it's poised to crack a little bit there. So let's see if we can get some panic selling through some of these key support levels with the market pulling back in. 21,500 could be interesting as well. What's Apple up to?
High of the day.
Oh wow.
Apple is, you know what's crazy is Apple, when I sat down, Apple was the only stock that wasn't gapping up, and now it's the strongest one out there. So you're getting higher lows on Apple. Oh, don't break trend, Apple. Okay, whatever. You don't care about these things for long term. If it breaks trends, sometimes things are buying opportunities, but it's putting in higher lows and probably an even steeper trend going into 250. I would have at least some concern with the 250 level. Why? Because we had problems there before. It's an obvious jump-off zone.
Right.
But, now you're starting to get to that 250. Micron obviously lost 85. It has to have. It's still dumping?
Yep. Oh my
Micron's now at 85. So the SSR bounce, I feel like that was already missed. That leaves it's 84.13, I believe. I'll have to double check it. I think you had it. 84.13 is going to be the actual low, the August 6th low.
Yeah, I got 84.13, 84.12. So we're about a point away from there. So anybody and everybody who has been long,
oh boy,
since August? Or even before that, because I think prices weren't down here for a little bit earlier than that. But anybody and everybody who's been long off of that bounce is kind of underwater underneath 84. So let's see if we can take some stops out underneath 84. That's essentially the idea, right? The idea is to take the inventory through a key support level, looking for the puke. And maybe even taking some more, getting bigger, like I said, through that level. Because if that is the case and that comes into fruition, I'm looking for a bit of a flush to the downside if that will happen. But we're teetering in and around that level as of right now. Again, this is where we did bounce. That's something I do have to keep into consideration. But trading below earnings reaction low right now, I like that. I like that we pretty much dead catted on this bounce here. I know you said you don't really like that term there, but.
I just feel like there should be a better one.
Yeah, I think whatever you want to call it, it's a bounce that doesn't really have too much of a reversion of the initial move, right? So we didn't really get too much. We traded below VWAP there. So I guess proper risk, was to VWAP. And again, me not risking there, definitely a bit of a miss there. But it's okay. We get right back in. It's perfectly fine.
Apple
Maybe not as much as I had before, but looking to get aggressive still if the trade sets up as good as I'm looking for, right? If it doesn't, don't forget, I'm more than willing to get out, stay a little bit nimble here, and try to trade with this trend. So don't forget to like and subscribe. What else do we got going on? I don't have too much else on watch as of right now.
Apple broke 250.
Okay.
Which is crazy. I mean, the market, the other thing that just happened is there is a little bit of a mini pullback happening on the 10-year. So you're actually finally getting some movement to the downside on the 10-year. Get past the quarters, Apple. Okay, you just printed the quarters. Look at the trend up since VWAP. It's all green. So one thing I want to keep in mind for any kind of a breakout or follow-through trade is the first red candle it puts in on this kind of an uptrend on a 3-minute chart. I do want to consider where I'm dip buying here, and you don't know where that's going to pull back into. So if we lose 250, I got to respect the fact that prior high is $1 lower, and that could be the reload. Prior bar, close and open is 249.5. So those are some levels that I got to look for on the way back in. I don't think it's necessarily clear sailing, but the NASDAQ is finally going at least a little bit green. This is what's happening now in the 10-year. So first time today, I'm in a long and probably going to start looking for some other longs. That will, I mean, we got to be able to flip the script, right? Like that could include Tesla over 450. Like we were shorting this level before, and now you're starting to hold VWAP. The 10 years doing what you want it to do. If you wanted to have some continuation of the upside, I got the NASDAQ over here, which is now holding VWAP. That little rejection candle, heck, we're about to close on the 15 in a minute and a half. We could close with a nice little green candle and a little bit of a wick of the bottom. So that would be a nice reversal. So everything is lining up. That 250 continuing to play on Apple. I'm going to get some out in front of 251. Don't want to count our chickens before they're hatched. Make sure we're taking some profits. It's been a whipsaw morning. And don't forget, everybody, I know we're missing out on a few names here. You got to focus, especially early, on the names that you intend on trading. I know there's a lot of small cappers that are moving. We'll try to get to as many as we can there. Just try to keep it real for you in the chat. And if you have questions in the chat, we got the best community out there. If we're missing them, Bears versus Bulls going to get them to you. And if you want to be in the chat, you need to be a subscriber to be in the chat. So
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
Yeah, don't forget.
We should film a Christmas one for that, Fabian.
I think there's Fabian just told me there's like 9,000 people watching, and there's not even 10-15% of that many likes. Come on, you guys gotta hit that hit that like. Those are rookie numbers. You gotta pump those numbers up.
What is it at right now?
This is what we gotta check right now.
What are we at right now?
Market catching a little bit.
Sometimes you have
of
to
a bounce,
refresh.
but,
Hilarious is you have to.
There's no way where there's 2 likes.
No, you have to refresh.
There's no way.
Like, okay, first of all, I put it live this morning, so if I haven't refreshed, that's literally somebody must have beat me because I'm usually 1. 1.1, so that's 1 out of every 8 of you like it. Well, so here's the other thing. If you like it, as I let this ad play, if you like the show, but also I've heard rumors that somehow it makes you feel better, and when you feel better, you trade better. So if you're here, it's because you like trading, you like the markets, and hopefully we got the goods for you. All right, share with your friends and family, Fabian also just mentioned to me. So here comes the right to 251 on Apple, by the way, and a little bit of a pullback. So you never really know where the dip is going to come in. From VWAP, it is all green candles on a 3-minute. Ideally, first red candle puts you right back to 250, and we're just trading off 250 to be able to get that reload, and we'll go over and over again. Mara, I still feel like is a bit of a fade. So I know this is working to the long side on Apple, but I got to go back over to to Bitcoin for you guys. Bitcoin is still looking relatively red. It is still trending down into 100,000. So if that's happening, I might use this bounce in the market to adjust my entry on Mara, and I'm just going to show you the black chart. It's just going to be easier, guys. Another lower high in Mara. This is staying on trend with Bitcoin falling. Now, if Bitcoin breaks 100,000, I want to be short. But if it bounces off 100,000, I want a re-entry where if this breaks trend, I can just jump out above VWAP. So that's the plan of action. Is while the market bounced there, Bitcoin said, I don't care. We're still falling. It's about to break the low and test 100,000 imminently.
That's pretty. The thing is, the interesting action I'm seeing here on Micron was that the market bid up pretty much 50% of the flush that we had off of the open, and Micron pretty much bid up like 50, 60 pennies, I think. Couldn't even get to its VWAP. So yeah, maybe some relative weakness for sure on this name. And don't forget, it is earnings day 1, and we're doing relative volume. How much relative volume, you ask? I got, well, on a 5 period, I got about 3 to 4 times roughly relative volume on the day here. So yeah, doing pretty decently for a large cap like this. But we're sustaining above 21,600 as of right now. We talked about is that 85.57 going to be the low of day, and we washed it. We kind of sold off below it. Now the new low of day is 85.10s, Neil. So about a point away from that monthly support. on Micron. So see if that trade is still on. We're still trading below VWAP. I like that. We're still trading below anchored. I like that as well. And we're making lower highs going into the midday session as of right now. So let's see unless and until that kind of changes here. I still want to stick with this idea. Now, of course, I have to risk accordingly and execute effectively in and around that. And like I said before, I had the shorts underneath 89, ads underneath 88. Stop out for break even after adding at 87s, which is fine. But getting right back in underneath 87 for, I guess my average right now, 86. So we're teetering in and around a break even, but looking for that continuation to the downside if it'll have me. If not, that's perfectly fine. I will be more than willing to move on to the next trade. And what is the next trade? Well, I'm watching Intel, I'm watching Starbucks, I'm watching, I guess, a little bit of the TQs as well as they do this sideways consolidation. Still trading within the opening range is the NASDAQ, so I'm going to be patient for that one. But something that is coming to the downside, Neil, is UNH. UNH, interestingly enough, yesterday, while we got that strong selling, had a VWAP buyer. So
I'm not surprised. But you know what? We're back. Trade the Pool. And Trade the Pool allows stock traders like you, all of you out there, to trade real shares using the company's capital with no PDT rule holding you back. And I know you don't like that PDT rule. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program for a one-time fee of just $300. You'll receive $80,000 in buying power and the chance to become a funded trader. Hit a profit target of just 4% and you'll start trading with the company's capital. Get funded faster and easier with the new conditions designed for success. And the best part, the profit split's been upgraded to a generous 70% so you keep more of what you earn. Don't wait. Check it out now and see how Trade the Pool can help you trade bigger and better. And scan that QR code. Check the link in the description. Shout out to Trade the Pool. So I got to ask you, because I know we talk about these continuation trades. Like Starbucks was a missed opportunity the other day. Obi, I know that's a name that you've had interest in looking at, and it's essentially like it's just falling every single day. Sometimes it's a short till it's not. What exactly? Cause I'm curious what you want to see here on Starbucks. Because I know for myself, a lot of times when there's like dump down continuation, I always think pull back first resistance. Like literally, that's the first resistance, or it's the prior close. So this one did. Listen, we closed at 90, and then it did a push. It broke first resistance, but look at the wick on a 15-minute. That then sets it back up at this floor here at 90.5, and now it's consolidating under its close. It closed at 89.90. Which is right here. It's giving you a reasonable continuation trade, I think, here under the 90 level. I always like to try to join the trend. If I like the short and it's setting up like multiple shorts, like I'm only saying that because I'm in Mara, and Mara did the same thing. I wanted 23s. We didn't get 23s. We missed that. So then it had to be, okay, well, does it hold underneath pre-market lows for the trend? Does it hold VWAP? And then you just start shorting the pops. It's all red on the 15-minute. So, why not try to get in? Like, I definitely think Starbucks, it's definitely setting up really well for sure. As the market, the market's trying to hold, and it looks like the trend is still working back in to said downside. Let's go to Adara and see what's nuking on the small caps.
I actually don't have nuke up here. We're going to look at some different names. IWM having this topping tail candle into almost 22.25, then selling off. Still up on the day, though it is looking a little bit on the 15-minute chart like that hockey stick pattern that Strafe talks about, where you have that move down and a bit of consolidation. We'll have to see where we go from here. But the base from yesterday for IWM was 219.32. We have XHG. This is Exchange Holdings. Sorry.
Okay. That was intense. Just very quickly, I know Nuke wasn't one of the names that we were talking about, but Nuke is now halted to the downside. Good luck, everybody. This is not looking good. And it's how I think it trapped some people, new people long. Obviously, in the pre-market, it did so. But then it might have done so here as it regained pre-market lows. But look at the failure at VWAP. We just lost VWAP and then opened underneath after an uphalt. Almost to the penny, it failed the halt price. So not looking very good on Nuke. Well, I can tell you that the short that we have, obviously, and when we get the fill at the low of the day, and all I'm doing is I'm letting Mara pump bounce as we head to 100,000 on Bitcoin, let it make a top, and then I just try to get in on the back end. That's all we're doing, and then we're working into the low. We missed the first one, we got the second, we got the third, but if the market's coming back in, which it is, Apple with its first red candle since VWAP, it's trying to hold on to 250. Like it got very close. Like it came within pennies. I think it actually came within a couple of cents of triggering my out. Literally a couple of cents, because I moved it even tighter after it got to 251, so it barely held on. If it can hold here at 250, I don't mind adding, but you're still seeing a downward push. It could go to VWAP for all I know, and I'm not going to sit there buying 250, 249.50, 249.20. No, if it breaks 250, we'll look for another entry point. We're still looking relatively weak here. The shorts have still continued to work to the downside, so I'm not going to rush to get into any kind of a long. We've been primarily short this morning. Speaking of, I thought that last push up was going to get us to re-entry on a firm, or at least myself. I shouldn't say, just me. But we did not get to VWAP. Now you're putting in lower highs, not where I was expecting it to happen. We're just continuing lower on a firm. I do want back into a firm. It's just a matter of where I'm able to catch it. So we'll have to look for maybe another bounce play. I don't like this bottoming tail candle. A lot of times that'll signal a reversal, so I don't want to short it here. I'd look for some kind of a pop. Let's go back and take another shot at the small caps.
Sorry about the interruption there, guys. XHG Exchange Group up about 140% right now. No catalyst I could find. It is a Chinese ADR here with a very small market cap, $425,000. Then next up we have App Tech Payments, APCX. No news on it today, but on Monday they announced a $5 million investment here, and also the fact they're going to be restructuring their board. Last but not least, VRAR. This one, multi-holder, watch out. This is called the Glimpse Group. It's one of its subsidiaries here, Brightline Interactive, entering into a 6-figure contract with the U.S. Navy. So Navy contract here for a subsidiary of VRAR. Back to you guys.
I'm just going to give a big shout out to our guest, Luis. Thank you very much, Adara. But that BPTH, remember what he said. Luis came on here and showed you the statistics that this one was a habitual line stepper, and that it had 100%, I forget the time frame, might have been the last year, 100% when it does this level of a gap up, it closes red. Well, I'm not saying it's gone red, but if you look at the daily chart, like where would you look for the curl? This is where above $4 into 4.5, that's where it got to, and there's your mean reversion trend back into VWAP. See, I should be like, if you like mean reversion trades, which I do, I should have that one. Like, why not? And this is going to halt every few minutes now because it's a $2 stock. It's actually going into a down halt despite this tight of a move. Keep this in mind. It's now going to be halting on any quick move of 10%, which is going to make it nonsensical to try to trade, everybody. That's going to be a little bit frustrating if you're trying to trade that. And it's frustrating if you tighten your stop up on the way back in an Apple and then watch Apple do this, which I'm not going to chase up here. I thought we break 250, we can get something closer to 249. That might not be the case. So we'll have to work our way into another trade there for Apple. Bitcoin is now at 100,000. So my attention is going to be on Mara because I'm kind of anticipating that you could get a bit of a break and a bounce off 100K here on Bitcoin. So I want to make sure that I'm trailing this one if we do get a 100K bounce. I'm not going to trail it to the trend, which would be up here at 21.8. This is going to be a trail back in through like this prior bar, like 21.65 here on Mara. Got to tighten it up. We just broke 100,000, at least what I looked at. So let's see if we get some continuation on 100,000 break. IBIT just took out those lows. Yeah, there's IBIT. I have us at 99.8 according to Binance. It looks like we've broken that 100,000 level. That means hang on tomorrow, but I'm tightening up the stop in case we snap back up.
Yeah, that trend on crypto is straight to the downside as well. So futures is doing an interesting dance here. We did kind of push back up and look at the selling that's happening, coming right back into some of these levels. So I'm curious to know whether or not we touch 21.5 on the day today. And yeah, let us know in the chat. What are you guys trading? Did you guys participate in the strong flush off of FOMC yesterday? I'm curious to know what people had and what they participated in. Were they planned trades, or did a trade fall into your lap? I want to hear all about it here. Wow, take a look at the Russell as well, Neil. We were just talking about the small to mid caps right there. Russell to the downside, coming into 220s right now, real hot. Lennar not really doing too much. Again, another earnings name that happened last night. Not really doing what I was, I guess, technically looking for. There is some size sitting on this 85, Neil. So I think last time I saw it, I think it was about 1,000 lots here. Can't really see it just now, but I guess, oh, there it is right there. 1,000 lots on top of 85. Let's see if that 1,000 lots gets taken out here on the Micron. Only about 30 pennies away as I get my filter.
Well, we're starting to dump
for that filter to come in. So you'll see that size show up here at that 85. We're trading in the last quarters right now. So do I want to take a little bit more through that 85? Yes, I do, Neil. And again, it is an SSR. So the question becomes, can I get in a little bit beforehand? Yes, I can. So get in a little bit beforehand as the market also comes in to that 21,500. So maybe we bounce off that 21,500. But there's Buddy sitting there with 1,000 lots on 85, about 1,600 lots right now that I'm seeing. One on an ARCA, one on a Nasdaq book. Actually, is that more? No, I thought my number.
No, you're right.
Blocked off there, but yeah, no. Let's see if that size gets taken out. We will definitely need a seller to take that size out. A seller who already is holding on to.
Oh, we've got sellers. The Nasdaq is points from going red.
Oh boy.
The ES is still 0.4, but testing the lows. I wanted to make sure we got to the super chat. Thank you, Fugazi Bear. Why doesn't YouTube offer a love button? That's a great question because love is better than likes. And
decrementing bid.
Love. And the bid is gone.
Oh, ice.
The bid is gone everywhere.
Baby.
Tesla just lost 440. Quick recap. Apple's still holding $250. At least that's good. Bitcoin's at 99.8. And every time I keep looking over, it's like, okay, well, Mara is accelerating. Are we accelerating on Bitcoin? Answer no. In Bitcoin dropping $120, and then Mara dropped a couple of points here. So it's getting a little bit, it's starting to get a little bit more steep. And you could put in a bottoming tail. I haven't gone out to the daily chart, but I just want to quickly show you. The 50 period on Mara is now within basically 1%. So we're at the target area at $21 on Mara, and we're bouncing at 19.9. So all of a sudden, this trend, which is steep to the downside, I just keep tightening it up. We didn't get that third reload, which happens. I don't think you can always get it perfect, but sometimes you just got to join. If you don't get the one you want, you got to take the trades that are available to you. So we got that short. Tesla is attempting a bounce. I know it's still falling, and I probably missed an opportunity to get in. Tesla was not cooperating the way I would have liked it through the short trade, so I did not get a re-entry into Tesla. It is what it is, but you had to find the trades that were more simple. Mara just set up much easier for me. And obviously so did Affirm. If we get a bounce, prior support, which was in at about 444, 445, that's where the buying was before. If we don't get back above that, Tesla looks like a continuation play. As the market, it's been slowly sliding down and just trapping longs. The only long that I really liked was Apple because it was just super strong. So joining that one for a scalp trade, no problems. But I wasn't going to give up on the short thesis, and even Apple losing the 250. So yeah, we continue to bleed. If we get to 21, I'm out on Mara as Bitcoin. Okay, back to 99.8, but we're not really falling as fast in BTC as we were before.
No, not really here, but yeah, those like I said, we're coming right onto that 21.5. There's a little bit of an ice at some ice sitting at 85s, and by that I mean there's an iceberg reserve bid sitting on 85. There's about 1,600 lots. So we dropped it down. I mean, when I say we, I mean the market. Sellers dropped it down to about 700, 600 lots there, and then we catch a little bit of a bid trading back up into the quarters here. But yeah, with the market coming down a little bit further, let's see if we can come back down and knock out some of the rest of that size. Definitely need some sellers to take that out. And again, it was refreshing. It was a little iced, so definitely want to respect that. 85, a bit of a clean level as well. We talk about going back and looking at the chart. 85 definitely interesting. 84 12s is the low there, but 85 definitely a bit of a monthly double bottom from August and September. So can we expect a little bit of chop in and around this area? Sure, and we're getting that already. We're getting about 30-40 pennies worth of a chop. We already came down here a little bit earlier in and around, what is this, about 10, 10. We made a low of 85.10s before we bid back up. So let's see how much more of a bid this 85 gives us now. 85 halves trading right now on top of that. And I guess Paul in the chat asking us to take a look at Walmart. Let's take a quick look at Walmart as well. But oh boy, oh my God, you know what
Great stock.
You know, I just saw Starbucks.
Well, I mean, you did
Starbucks
say it was
goes
the next.
back to VWAP.
You said it was the next trade.
Oh my God.
You did say it was the next trade.
I did say it was the next trade.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying that was your baby, and it's been doing the trend, exactly the trend I think that you want in the continuation. So look, we'll see if we get some, all right, Mara might trail out in a couple of seconds, but you know, Tesla just made its pop into prior supports out here at about 444. My goodness. See, and someone asked me, what does it look like when the bid drops? See how I got in on the front end?
High.
And I'm looking, so at 442, it's looking like resistance. That's a prior bar there. It's trying to hold above 442, and the second it tests up to 442.5, it's like you want to get it back in through. It broke 442, and the bid dropped, and there's nothing for $2. When you look at that on the level 2, obviously this has already happened there on Tesla. I can't promise you what happened again. No, but essentially what that means is here you have like a nice 15, 20 cent spread. It'll tighten up at times. When it was above that 42, the second it got under, that spread just opens up. Any size that was on the bid drops down to only minimum lots and like 1 lots, and you see no real bid that stacks up with any thickness. These are all like tiny and little until you get to like the $2 down. Like you just see it. And what's noticeable, if you ever hear me say like the bid is dropping, like I have multiple level 2s up of all the stocks that I'm tracking. Like I have a Tesla one, Apple, and a Firm, which we traded earlier, and Mar. Those are the 4 stocks that we've traded. All of them in the same moment do basically the same thing, where I just see the bid get thin on all of them when maybe one key stock loses a bid. So when I say we're losing the bid, it's usually the stocks that I'm watching. I just see the level 2 have a distinct change, and usually you'll get some kind of a drop like this. So we're back into Tesla. I just want to play it station to station because I feel like we're far from VWAP. If we can hold this low, we should play down into the 438, 439. I'm not adding until we get the confirmation candle. Like this is on, I got short on green, which is never the way that I want to do it. I'd rather be short if we get that confirmation candle. So I'm going to not add a thing until we get underneath. Until we close this one. If we close this one underneath, as I see you preparing for a little something. Mara is still continuing to hold. It's crazy. Crypto should be the only short right now. Tesla might just decide to take out that prior low. As I said, I'm in a third, and I'm not adding unless I get a confirmation candle that the short is good. And to show you what's going on in Mara, we're now consolidating off the low. I've got my trail, and now I've tightened it up. If we break out from here at the 30s, I'm just jumping out of this trade. You know, like it's the first green candle. Any pop, I want to try to reshort it, but we're getting more out of Mara than we expected move-wise. So, you know, I'm more than willing to take this. It's Tesla that I'm waiting patiently for an ad here. Another rejection under 443. There's the confirmation. The question is, can I even get 42s again? Yeah,
so Neil, have you heard about eSignal? Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience. Analyze, strategize, capitalize, and foresee profitable opportunities with the platform that you need. Infinite data, instant trading, know where the market is moving before others with lightning fast data. Charts that change the game, customize, analyze markets way faster, your way. Better backtesting and scanning, predict the future by understanding the past, reliable real-time data, up-to-the-second market information from hundreds of global markets, everything you need all in one place, so don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now, ready to elevate your trading, scan the QR code or check the link in the description below. eSignal.
That's what it's all about, and like we said, I mean, if you're trading, then you know you need a reliable platform. And especially on days like yesterday and today, I mean, more so, obviously more so yesterday, where you're gonna get like big, massive moves in the market, and you wanna make sure you've got all the levels available to you. So Tesla is still working. I just wanted to go back over to, I haven't traded NVIDIA today, and I understand a lot of people, you always wanna look at what's going on with the big bad boy. It hasn't turned red yet. It hasn't broken the lows. It's still consolidating underneath the support that we had early in the morning and the 130 level, you're still holding underneath the bottoms here. It's looking not great for NVIDIA. That 127 double bottom was the key price. I feel like that's where I wanted to bid it, and I don't want to go anywhere else. Apple's still trying. If I'm going long something, it still feels like it should be Apple, and Apple's trying to get to VWAP here. So I said out at 250, look for the long in VWAP, but now it's going, oh, Tesla just came up right quick. All right, Tesla is now going again. See, sometimes it is just a scalp trade, but this is what I want. I want wrong trades to look like this. I'm in here, I'm out here. You know, like the range on this last move was $12, $13. So if I'm in there and risking a couple, then I know my risk to reward is going to be good if I capture that move. I've got 4 or 5 to the low of the day. I don't have to worry about the R&R. Is Tesla going to give you an opportunity to get that back? But if you lose $5 to $10 on a trade like this, or just get too aggressive, you'll be in a world of hurt. I just trailed out of Mara. I said we're going to tighten up that stop. Well, Mara just broke that consolidated bottom. So this is another one where, until proven otherwise, this stays on trend. I just want to look for the next curl. Missed one, end up grabbing the other ones just fine. As long as we get another bounce that stays on trend, I want to stay short this name. But Tesla's starting to look a little distinctly different there. I don't know what Micron's doing, but you just saw Tesla make that move. So don't want to fight it. Let it trade back into VWAP or 450 and always take another shot at it. But if we're going back and there's any kind of rounded bottom, it's only Apple that I've liked to the long side, and that's what I'm going to stick with.
Yeah, so I'm trying to just to see in terms of prices what's that high, 87s, and that high is 85s. Okay, cool. So yeah, just kind of trying to dance with some of this Micron action here. We did bid right back up into 85 halves, 85 and some change. But again, market bouncing off of that 21 half, but Micron still, giving us that look of a little bit of relative weakness here, with sellers coming back in. So we did decrement a decent chunk of that size at 85s, and I was like, all right, well, if we're gonna ice this level bit with a level hold on 85s and do a little bit of a bounce, I'm still willing to get short. Now, I guess normally I'd be like, level hold on a strong downtrend. I want to revert it right away, but oh boy, I definitely want to stick with the trend. So that's kind of what I'm doing better versus yesterday. So yesterday I fought the trend, and today I'm doing my best not to fight the trend and stay I guess, in the direction that Micron is showing us since off of the open there. Still trading well below VWAP and holding some moving averages as well as the market trends to the downside as well, right? Yep. So it's like, all right, so you have ticker to the downside, you have market tailwind to the downside as well. So let's stay a little bit involved and see whether or not Micron will have us through that 85. And if not, that's perfectly fine as well. UCS FCU asking us, Neil, what are our thoughts on SMCI? So I haven't really looked at SMCI just yet today, but yeah, we can take a quick look at it. Where is my chip basket here? Oh, wow, look at that. SMCI straight to the downside, 30.95 is trading at right now on SMCI. So I will bring this up here if I can pull this chart down into here. Okay, so there goes Starbucks back again to VWAP. So I'm going to continue watching that one. But SMCI, oh boy, to the downside aggressively. 30.82 is the low and trending to the downside. 33.51. And look at that, 33.46 is the opening range high as well. So we didn't quite make it to the pre-market high, and a strong aggressive trend to the downside. Now again, got to keep an eye on SMH as well, as SMH quadunks to the downside. 238.79 is the day low. Look at this, Neil. We VWAP hold, aggressive bid into VWAP, can't really hold, sustain, rejects 242 with a double top here. So 242 clean prints, 241.98 on that second test, and then we sell off into 238 halves here on SMH. So let's see if we found a bottom there, and let's see if some of these chips take a turn. Nasdaq still holding, churning, orbiting around that 21 half as of right now. So gonna keep an eye on that one. What is going on there?
SRMRM. So there's probably a way to pronounce that I'm missing there in the chat. what's the gig with this name? Let me know here in the chat. Sir Mr. M? Sir Mr. M. Can you please take a look at Zscaler? Yes, we can. Obi, I said you'll like this one because when I looked at this chart, look at it, it just lost the 200 period moving average. You had a Dumpsville yesterday. I mean, everything had a Dumpsville yesterday. But like, so the way to put it, when everything is down, I like to group things in things that were strong and then Powell happened or then the Fed happened, and things that were already weak and then dumped even further. So this was like an already weak stock that dumped further. Marvell was an already weak stock that dumped further. So this is a continuation play in most ways. Senior Mr. M. Okay, that makes sense. And what I love about this, hopefully you're short, is the prior low, like before the Fed, the bottom was 190. Everything after the Fed is just markets dumping, it continues. But look what happens at that 190 level. So if you throw out all the crazy nonsense, you go back to like the fundamentals before we had the Fed. This is a stock that was trending down and the low was 190. At the open today, it fails 190 and plunge. Like it's a great looking trade. I wouldn't want to be anything but short under the 200 period moving average, at least temporarily, which is another thing that this is doing, holding underneath that prior support and now trending underneath the 200 period. I guess room to 180 when you look at that. So senior Mr. M, hopefully, I mean, I don't know what position you have, but I would like to say I hope you would be short, as it looks like a great continuation play. Apple just refuses to get to VWAP and just broke trend back above 250. Apple's strong, everybody.
How strong is Apple? I gotta keep it.
It's up 1%.
I need more monitors up here.
It's up 1%, and it's holding above VWAP. It just broke the downward trend since 254. It should have just been a reversion of the reversion, as you say, at 250. Well, that's not really a setup that I ever trade. But that's what it looks like. It kind of reversed trend here and then put in a slight downward trend. Then you broke here at 250. I guess we're not going to get VWAP. I got to look for that 250 retrace. It's the only price we traded it before. Why not try to go back to the well? Right now, it's the stock that I like to the long side. And if we're going to keep making moves up, then I got to try to grab it.
Yeah, so 86 is potentially incoming here with the market catching a little bit of a bounce on Micron. So let's see how well we sustain on the ticker. Yeah, the thing is we're trading well below that VWAP at the same time, and yeah, buying is kind of starting to even off with the selling, aggressive selling that we had in the morning session. It is 10:45. As of right now, Neil. So again, I gotta keep a watch on if things start to revert a little bit. I do have to be wary of that. And again, let's kind of mark out where some of these levels are. So 87.39 is VWAP, and the anchored VWAP to earnings is a little bit higher. They're at 88.17s, trading back down to 85 halves right now. So this is the current day low at 85 clean. We saw that there was a held bid sitting at that level. So we are kind of in this downtrend here. So I'm trying to stay with this downtrend as the market looks like it wants to hover in and around that 21.5, right? So let's see how well this one works. Now, I was talking to Wayne about this. A bit of a fumble on my part. I definitely had an inventory from up here 89s off of the open. That 90 was nice as well. If you had that, oh boy, that was
Jason
a snipe.
Taylor it?
Sorry?
I have no idea what that means. You Jason tailored it.
I'm gonna.
I know you have no idea. So there's a thing that happens in football, and it's maybe the dumbest. I'm not saying you fumbled. That was only your self-description, which doesn't matter.
Yeah, I did fumble.
No, but there's a thing that players do in football, which infuriates everybody, where they're about to score a touchdown, and they're so focused on their celebration that they drop the ball before they get to the end zone, like purposefully. They just kind of like, I'm running,
and
they just let it go. So it happened to a very talented player that cost his team, possibly cost them momentum, and then they eventually lost the game. It's nonsensical because it was like a decade ago that happened the first time, and you're like, and it's all over YouTube, people doing it in high school and college. You're like, oh yeah, no one's ever going to do that again. You just run through the end zone, hand the ball to the ref like Barry Sanders did. Like the greatest touchdown machine in like college history, one of the greatest players of all time, he would run into the end zone and just calmly, wouldn't you just hand the ball to the ref. Why? Because he knew he was going to get in the end zone again. So he's just on to the next play. Yeah. He didn't sit there.
The next one.
No, like the guy was just so laser focused, man. And everyone do you. I have no problem with. I like celebrating. I think it's fine if you want to do it. Make sure you actually score a touchdown first. You want to get out of a trade and celebrate, but like I try not to celebrate until like hey, this is good, this is a win. But it infuriates me as a fan. Thankfully, no Bills have ever done it because I don't even want to think about it. If a Buffalo Bill did it, I just got a new TV. I don't want to. I've never thrown anything at a TV before, but so I am into Apple off that 250. I don't even want to think about it. It pisses me off so much. I heard GameStop is breaking out. Why is there news on GameStop? And it's not really. Oh, it is breaking 30, but it hasn't broken 32. I've always said 32, 32, 32, break 32, and then it's got a real chance to go. But now, so it's not bad. Because if it can hold above 30, you've got the range to 32 to be able to play with. So it is making a bit of a move. I got to try to focus here. Apple, what I don't love, here's what I don't like. The futures are putting in another lower high. So you're still trending down. I get it. Apple has been relatively strong, and I kind of like it, putting in that higher low after the rejection candle underneath. But I feel like if we lose the 75 level, like this prior close, I should just jump out of this and accept the fact that we should be rolling back into a short. Like I just looked over, Bitcoin's back above 100,000. I like that sign. And so we got out of Mara. That was a good entry. That was a good exit point on Mara. I am back into Affirm. Affirm, again, it put in the first available pop into prior bar high, which is 64.5. I'm sure I have a bad price in there. Started early. But if it breaks 64.5, I'm out. Playing this back into the prior low. So Affirm we're back into on the short as the market still giving you a little bit of a stair step down, which you might guess where I'm going next, takes me back to Tesla. Because Tesla is also putting in a potential higher low. So at another decision point. The last time on the 15-minute, it put in a green candle followed by a tight red candle. It was a great short. So that's what I got to wait for. Let's be patient. We're going to close this in a while, so we have a lot of time for this one to set us up here. But Tesla might be up 1%, but like almost everything else, it's trending down, Obi.
Yeah, a lot of these things trending a little bit to the downside here. Yeah, again, Bitcoin, did that bounce off of 100,000? Yes, it did. S&P 500 coming back into that 590 level as well. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. And let's see what else. Alphabet pretty much churning softy, maybe poised for a little bit of a higher day push. Apple, again, pretty strong. Tesla catching a bit of a bounce, and maybe NVIDIA as well. Still trading sideways for the most part here on the NASDAQ. On NVIDIA, on chips, but Amazon still trading sideways as well. But some of these stickers looking slightly different. And yeah, Apple definitely the strongest of the bunch as of right now as it pushes back through that 250 mark. And yeah, look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is pushing up even higher now, 21,600. Let's see. So we did kind of hold that 21.5 and pushing up a little bit higher to another 100 points here, trading at 21,570s as of right now. What is GameStop? I'm
going to go pay for locates. Please tell me AMC is going up because so the free money trade yesterday, just for anybody, this had nothing to do with the Fed, but AMC approached its high of the day as GameStop tried to break out. GameStop failed a breakout. AMC pulled into VWAP and gave you a reload, like just off of the high. So it's pulling into its prior high right now. So this is, and it worked yesterday, so I want to go ahead and try to do it again today. It's trending up on sympathy for no other reason than GameStop is up. So as it gets into its high of the day, any curl in GameStop, and I'm going to try to short this on a mean reversion. But we have to pay for locates. I'm going to go ahead and pay for those now. Okay. They were super cheap yesterday.
They're usually not that bad.
Yeah,
right?
AMC, GameStop, we're usually talking fraction of a cent.
Yeah, distinctly different from that of Nuke this morning, and you were talking to me about some of the prices. Was it 19 cents a share?
So 100 shares was $19.
Yeah, which is it's a pretty pricey short borrow, but this is also something that I've noticed, Neil. Sometimes, just like a lot of good things, when things are in demand, the prices will be a little higher.
Fancy that, right?
So when the price of the short gets a little unusual unusually high. I definitely like it, and sometimes it's more than worth paying for, or just having the ability to short on a day like today, where potentially you can capture more than 19 cents per share on Nuke. Hopefully you can, with the kind of volatility and moves that it's having on the day today.
Obi,
So
if you can't get more than, if you're trading Nuke, like
boy.
NUKK
the
for
spread is
everybody out
like
there.
19 cents.
Yeah, if you're not taking dollars on this thing, then probably don't
Makes so
trade
much
it.
sense.
Because your risk of slippage on any level break is like it's multiple dollars. Like if this thing breaks any significant level, it's multiple dollars on this thing. 19 cents actually was probably worth it. The more I think about it, I feel like we probably should have paid for it. I kind of thought, yeah, well, if it breaks out the high, I'll check back then, because then I know I want it. So I just want to quickly show you guys what just happened on GameStop. Get entered twice. GameStop just came in, and now this is, so the prior low on GameStop, the only levels to work off other than 32 would be like the prior low was here, and we just wicked that level and started going down. So as I mentioned, we got locates of AMC, which oddly enough cost, for 100 shares, it cost 2.5 cents for every 100 shares. So basically free. So I'm short the second GameStop did any curl. My risk is to the high, although because we're off the high and it hasn't given me any consolidation or confirmation, I'm right now in 20% because it's still on the way up. But GameStop did a bit of a curl, so I try to enter into position. Apple's starting to lose the bid a little bit here.
Yeah, pullback on the NASDAQ as well.
See, and this is why I should have scalped at the $0.50. Greed. I know Gordon Gekko says greed is good, but that's not always true in trading. Like if you have a defined range and the opportunity to get better than the 1-to-1, take some out. Take some out. Like you didn't get to 251 even, but take some $0.50. Take some at 251. If it gets up there again, I'm going to definitely take some. And yeah, the Elon in the chat just said the spread on Nuke is $1.
Yeah.
Sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less. Right now, I see $1. I've seen 50 cents on it, but it doesn't matter. If it breaks a level like 50, your minimum slippage could be $1, and it could be more than that. You get trapped in a halt in this stock, as far as I'm concerned. If you're firing a market order, you probably get filled, but use a limit order, all bets are off. That's why I don't like trading these unless you get something around a nice liquidity area where you can be a little more certain you'll be able to transact reasonably. Like the 40 level showed you that. Everything else in between is mostly nonsense, and I don't like getting caught in those.
That's very fair. Again, tickers like that, I think, like I said, I'm going to keep it on watch. I am keeping an eye on it, but my eyes are fixated on Micron right now. Again, trying to get with this trend on the market. A bit of a very tight consolidation after we got that bit of a level hold, that reserve on top of 85s. We're coming back into 86s as of right now. Again, we can push up to VWAP, we can come back into day lows, but as of right now, since that reserve kind of came in, we have been making higher lows back towards 86s. So that's something I'm watching as well in this consolidation here. But again, I have no idea what's going to happen, Neil. I just know that I like it if we can get through that 85, and maybe we're poised to go through that 84. And if that's not going to happen, that's perfectly fine. Maybe we reclaim VWAP. Maybe we trade above it as well. So I gotta stay nimble. I gotta stay patient for some of these to come in. But oh boy, some of these entries off of the open, those were the money fills there on Micron. A little bit of a continuation move off of the earnings report that we had yesterday. Now, I didn't even check how well they did on their earnings.
Oh goodness.
But, yeah, I mean,
my wife
did all
better
right.
have sold.
What's going on?
I told Obi this. It wasn't Obi. It was actually Sharif. Not to call my wife. She's not watching right now. But months and months ago. Anyways, long story short, my wife she's into Q. We were talking about quantum computing a while back, and I was like, I don't know what good names are out there. And at a cybersecurity, and I was like, it's going to be hot, but I don't know any good names. And then there was a cybersecurity course she was taking months back, and there were some experts that were like, this company looks like it could be interesting. Now, obviously, this was early in the year. It actually went out of the money for her, like quite a bit, and it almost pulled back in half. But then yesterday, she was like, what should I be doing with this thing? I'm like, well, it just triple top, because I knew it had triple top failed at $10. So I was like, it was at dinner, and I'm like, The stock just triple top failed at 10. I'm like, maybe ring the register when you're up 5, 6x on some of it. So ideally, that has happened. Whatever, she's long under $2, so it's good. But I mean, it's better if you got 9s. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So I'm going to have a quick little discussion. Whatever, it'll be a winning trade, hopefully, regardless. But yeah, the quantum stock's heading to the downside. So Apple should have scalped it. Said we're going to go for a tight stop trade, and it's what I like. We could still hold trend, but you're undetermined now in terms of the higher lows. Like you broke trend, now you're sort of diddling in here. You have the support down closer to 249. As far as I'm concerned, you haven't really reestablished an upward trend on this name. Affirm is our new trade. Tesla still not doing. Tesla's still a bit of a. It's annoying. I feel like VWAP, I should be letting it get to. And there's one name, I know we only have a couple of minutes to go. I want to acknowledge Boeing. Boeing has broken out. It also broke out on the daily. And caveat, we always sort of, we like to try to be fair and be honest with everybody. I know this Boeing was one on the long term where I had said, I like this thing if it can break 165. I missed this break in my personal account. And then yesterday when the market dumped, then it held the 200-period moving average. Yesterday, when the market dumped, I'm like, I'm buying Boeing because I missed it here. So I bought Boeing shares in my PA on that dump yesterday, but mostly because I missed the breakout above 165 and should have had 67s. So the fact that you were able to get at the end of the day, like the low 170s, I'm like, I got to take a shot at it. So I did. So I've doubled my position in Boeing, finally looking better, and it happens to be breaking the top, but it is what it is. As far as I'm concerned, it was a fail because I should have had this break in my PA, and this is your confirmation when it holds the 200-period moving average. I think Boeing wants $200 in the next by the year end.
Yeah, I think I think I hold a Canadian company, maybe not Boeing, but Bombardier. Which whenever people say Boeing, I don't know why I think about Bombardier right away, but I think the ticker for Bombardier is BBD.B, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, pretty decent ticker as well. I haven't had eyes on it in a while, but I think it's been doing quite well for the swing. And yeah, Bombardier making a lot of. I haven't looked at that. I think our transit, right? Or no, is it?
Yeah, they make a lot. They make
the TTC buses and the trails and the transit. So it's like transportation. They're in a lot of different things.
It's been performing pretty well. I know it's already 11 o'clock. Oh my goodness. Okay, so anyways, that's what Bombardier looks like for everybody. GameStop's making another press higher. It looks like this market is trying to reverse. I know we're going to go to the midday in a second, but hey, we're not cable TV. Like we can go over at 11:02 or 11:03. Just quickly here, the market is still holding these lower highs. I think I'd give up if we start breaking back. If we start breaking back out above VWAP, that's a trend reversion on the NASDAQ. So I don't think you start breaking that out. I think that's where you start to look for the reversal. I still like Apple. It's holding a good trend to the upside as well. But hey, we'll be back at 2 o'clock because this market ain't finished by a long shot. For now, let's throw you on over to the Bash Brothers. We've got Joey Options. We've got Sharif the Professor. And you're going to have a heck of a lot of fun. So sit back, relax, enjoy some midday trading.
Take it easy, guys.